everyone, SkeelsyShoota here, coming at you with episode 33 of QuadFeed. Thanks for joining us. We decided to do a video one this week, mainly because of our two guests. We have got a couple of guests. One you'll know from before. He's tired. He's tired. Rubbing his eyes. You all know Jags23. How you going, mate?
I didn't think the camera was on me yet.
Hey, I'm calling an audible. I'm just throwing things at you. How you going, mate?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. Skillsy.
After a long week of Modern Warfare, God, what am I about? Advanced Warfare. How much wine have I had? Jesus. Advanced Warfare footage and multiplayer revealed trailers and God knows what. It's been biblical. Beyond biblical, in fact.
It's been a grind this week, I'll be honest. But I don't like to say too much, because otherwise people are like, oh, you just make YouTube videos. It's not hard work.
That Wings of Redemption. As usual, Benny Amino, Polywaffle. How you going, mates?
Not too bad. How are you?
You alright, mate? That BMX hasn't moved. It's bullshit what you say. Seriously.
I know. Yeah, for those who are just joining, we haven't done it, like Gav said, we haven't done a video one for a while. And I've always had a BMX in the background and it doesn't seem to move. And now we've had a big break where we were just doing audio-only podcasts. And now that we're back to video, it still hasn't moved. I have used it a couple of times, but like I explained beforehand, the marks are in the carpet, so I just put it straight back on top.
You know you're using it wrong, though. It performs better inverted.
Oh, really?
You're using it like a potter's wheel.
Yeah.
Like doing like ghost reenactments or something.
Yeah, well. Many uses, I guess.
We are still available on iTunes as well as Stitcher Radio. This is just the YouTube video version, but we thought we'd go back to it because we've got a lot of stuff to get through. Chris, wake up.
Star-studded cast.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, mate, you all right?
Yeah.
Good week. Sony, wherefore art thou, Vita? They pretty much got forgotten about at Gamescom. That much is true.
It did. A couple of the games ended up on the PS4, so it's lost even more games in its catalogue.
Nice. It's going to end up being a... you might as well just take it in your car and use it as a wedge, just in case you you get a flat tire and you need to chop up the wheels or something.
On a hill. Truck it up.
That's it. And lastly, but by no means leastly, this man, Eddy the Chump. If there was ever a man who was going to sarcastically narrate my funeral, it would be this man.
Thank you very much.
Hello, sir.
I'm good. I mean, it's 1 o'clock on a Sunday. This is early doors for me. I'm joking. It's not really, but
I'm always skeptical about like Sunday morning guests in the UK. It's like I don't know how much of a big night they've had the night before. I could be completely stepping on toes and going like midday. Are you out of your fucking mind? I don't rise until 2 p.m.
No, it's
9 p.m. in the morning.
Everyone knows that Saturday's the worst night to go out. Anyway, you go out on a Friday. You have your heavy night on a Friday because then you're not just crying to yourself that it's Monday tomorrow.
That is true. That said, though, the Liverpool match has just literally kicked off. So, I forgot to mention Jay last night. Seeing
What?
it was like Spurs were like 80 seconds away from making me regret staying up and watching that match live.
Oh, all right, yeah. Like, well, it was obviously afternoon for us, but yeah. Glad we got the win. Always nice to beat West Ham, because the West Ham just have really annoying fans. Like, if they beat you, they all of a sudden just think they're like the best team in the world.
My dad being one of them.
They're like borderline relegation strugglers, which they really are. So it's good to be it.
I remember texting my dad a screenshot of the table this morning. West Ham firmly cemented to the bottom of the table.
They've got the same problem as Tottenham though, like in the early days, because the letters quite like far down in the alphabet. So Arsenal and Aston Villa, if they win and the goal difference is the same, they're always at the top. But Tottenham, West Ham, right down the bottom.
I think I think they'll be petitioning for like a town to be renamed Zodiac or something ridiculous. Just so they're not like at the bottom of the table on day one. Wolverhampton or something. So it's been a big week in a gaming sense. Obviously, it's been a gaming podcast. Myself and Benny went to the Electronic Arts Australian Gamescom event here in Sydney, which was kind of cool, in a German-themed kind of arena at the Bavarian Beer Cafe. So Ben and I got well stuck into a bit of what were we drinking? What was it?
Just
Lowenbrau?
the Lowenbrau. Yeah, Lowenbrau beer. Yeah.
Which was it was kind of emasculating at first because they gave you these little poncy,
the little 300ml ones,
literally grenades. And they were
Lowenbrau doesn't have glass that small.
Yeah, and then after that, we kind of broke out the steins, and then everything was rosy.
Yeah,
which was brilliant.
Fuck me, went down a little bit too easily.
Yeah, I think Ben propositioned himself to a number of people at that point in time. No, he didn't, honestly. But it was cool. Met lots of YouTubers. It was funny, actually. I met a YouTuber who was Scottish, this little guy. I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm on YouTube. And he was just chatting about it. He's like, okay, cool. And he's, I'm Scotland. I've only been here a few months. And he's asking where I should stay. And I said, well, where are you staying right now? He said, Bondi. And I'm like, oh, okay, that kind of stands to reason. You're in Bondi. You're English, after all. Well, from the United Kingdom. So I was doing my best to try and convert him into suburbs of Bondi, so he doesn't get typecast as one of those Bondi people. But still, yeah, and he had 165,000 subs just on a Minecraft channel. Couldn't believe it.
Is his name Silent Core?
Yes.
I've met him. I met him at a YouTube Labs event.
Yeah, he was a good bloke.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He follows me, actually. He's followed me for a long time. He's grown recently, I think, like last year or two.
We're in the inner sanctum of. But it was cool. We're having a good chat. I think I tried to convert him to come and live in Marrickville.
One's
yeah, we could hang out. Be mates. Do a bit of cross promo. Anyway, but it was cool. A few technical difficulties with the stream. I think weren't EA experiencing just a crappy connection or something, or was that the whole Gamescom?
Yeah. I don't know.
Twitter just blew up and sort of going, Gamescom, fix your internet. But anyway, but it was good.
That was a good event. From what I remember, it was a good event.
Yeah, it was good. But I think we should get to the topic at hand, which is something I know these guys want to discuss. Let's talk a bit of Kodor. Kodor, hashtag. What do we think? Do we get respectively blown away? Is it more of the same? Is it any concerns? Do you think that there's anything we should be worried about?
I'll just jump in here if you don't mind.
Kick it off.
That's good. I want to hear what you've got to say, Eddie. That's good.
When I was watching the trailer, I was like, I still had the bitter taste of ghosts in my mouth, and I was expecting to not like it, and just be cynical about it. But I don't. Despite what most of the content is on my channel, I don't actually want to complain about things. I want to really like them. And I was watching it, and I was looking at the movement. I was looking at the double jumping. I was like, I think I could have fun with this game, because I loved that dynamic in Titanfall. It's just that the game wasn't really deep enough for me for the long haul. And the game looks fantastic. However, I do have a concern that hardly anyone is talking about. There's everyone knows that I hate IEDs and proximity explosives.
Mm-hmm.
I think they stopped the flow of a game, and what they did was they looked at the IED and went, wouldn't it be cool if when you walk past it, it detaches from whatever surface it's on and then silently floats and hunts you down and kills you? And then they thought, to make this even better, we'll put Danger Close back in the game, because that made Modern Warfare 2 just the most fun ever. So although the core game looks great, and the jumping and the gun skill and the all the stuff that I sound like Zoidberg there with the jumping and all of that stuff like that looks great, right? So I'll probably be playing League Play for a year, but magical floating hunter-killer IEDs for everyone is not something that I'm gonna be absolutely thrilled with. I don't know why they put this stuff in the game, but hardly anyone's talking about that because.
So those smart grenades, aren't they?
No, they're called remote explosive drones, and you won't see them in many gameplays because people aren't using them, but they're in the game, and you can take 2 of them and use Danger Close, obviously. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I thought they were going to do a Black Ops 2 and put Danger Close in the game, but it might have been like take an extra, like explosive grenade. But no, they've decided to put this perk that is almost universally hated and put it in the game.
Isn't that dangerously close to frag times 3 though? If you were to equip 3 of them, or was it purely just 2 of them plus extra explosive damage?
I wonder if you get much warning about it when it happens, like if you can tell it's followed you or it's picked you up or whatever. Because if there's a bit of warning time, because the game's so fast, you might be able to dash out the way instead of like be stuck in this blast radius. I'm not still 100% on how the strafing, like boost strafing. Some people were saying you have to be in the air to do it, and other people are like, well, no, you can just strafe anyway. Like with the exosuit, you can like strafe quickly with the boost, and I'm presuming you can do it without having to jump first. But I don't know. Some people are a bit like, well, you jump and then you do it. I don't know.
Judging by the multiplayer trailer, it doesn't look like they're jumping at all when they're strafing left and right.
No,
it looks like they're on the grid.
You can't do that though.
That's one thing I thought was really mentioned or underused in gameplays. No one was strafing. Like when you get shot at, strafe out the way. I don't see why you wouldn't automatically do that.
Because I think a lot of people are hesitant to use that sort of stuff in a gunfight because, number one, it paints you on the minimap. It's like firing your gun.
What you mean when you use the blast suppressor, the blast thing even?
When say like I know you can like laterally strafe quickly with your exosuit's ability. I know you can do that. You can also do it in midair because I saw it. I saw pros doing it in one of the pro games that they streamed on the other days, and people were starting to use it. But one of the reasons, apparently, you know, I've spoken to a few YouTubers. One of the reasons that you wouldn't use it necessarily is if you're flanking and you use it, you're painted on the minimap. So
yeah, but you can get blast suppressor, which suppresses that.
Like, but that's like a whole.
But that's for the gun though. This is for just moving with the suit.
No, there is a perk that means that your exosuit, like dashes and stuff, don't come up on the minimap. But it's in quite an important tier. It's in the
it's in the one that toughness is in. So a lot of
scavenger. Yeah. So it's in the one with like hardwired.
When the game comes out, I think what you're going to see in terms of like mind-blowing gameplays is people who are constantly blasting, and I think that the blast suppressor is going to be popular no matter what, because when you see someone really learn how to blast, and don't forget, like to actually quickly strafe with the boost, you need to double tap L3, so like tap down left stick, and that's kind of a little bit awkward to do. But don't forget, like people are going to have scuff controllers where L3 is going to be on the back, and you're going to be able to tap it so easily. So I think it's going to be really heavily. I think all the sweaty kids who are like around now are going to turn into like mega exosuit kids. Do you know what I mean? That's going to be the annoying person. Apart from obviously the double explosive guy, it's going to be the non-stop dashing guy that you just can't hit because he's just so fast.
We should turn.
I'm kind of okay with it though. I'm kind of okay with that. I think that whenever I play a COD now, so if I play Ghost, I think Cranked is a fantastic game mode. It won't be returning, and hardly anyone plays it. But the speed at which the game moves when everyone's cranked in a lobby is what I find that more desirable than just normal COD. But that's just me. That's my taste.
I guess, but if let's say someone uses Exo Cloak and also is moving around the map 100 miles an hour,
they can't do that.
You can move. You can't.
You can move, but you can't use your exosuit or shoot. As soon as you do either of those, you're decloaked.
Oh, if you can't use your exosuit, that's not model, too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like the worst cloak ever as well. I was watching it. I was thinking cloak was going to be a problem. I don't know about you guys, but then I saw what cloak looked in the game. I'm like, So basically, your character model just sparkles. You're like Edward from Twilight.
I was going to say, it's a Twilight.
Like, that's how invisible you are. Like,
I used to think that though, about Crisis, but still, like, when things are going at 1,000 miles an hour and, like, you just don't quite pick it up in your peripheral vision, it can still get you.
I'm sure, but it's COD. I mean, there's gonna be stuff in it that's like, why the fuck is that in the game? Like that, I mean, we're gonna have a whole another year of moments like that. But the core game,
when going over the perks now, is there's no sit rep. Like
no, and no dead fire. They've taken them both out.
Explosives, if they do start to become a problem, you've got no counter other than flak jacket. And for me personally, I counter IEDs with sit rep because that works for me. But some people would have to go flak jacket now. It sucks.
Yeah, but I don't know if they take the Treyarch approach and make flak jacket so that all like a nuclear explosion is like an insect biting you, so that you can just be like, that's a bit annoying, and just walk it off. Then fine. But if they've got the Infinity Ward, blast shield, like reduces the explosive damage by 3 HP, then it's going to be a problem. But I have a feeling it's going to be Treyarch flak jacket.
I was worried about the actual mechanic of it and how it sounded like you had to be pulling directionally as well as like a down click.
Down. Yeah.
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 I mean, it'd probably take a bit of getting used to.
A bit awkward, which is why I don't think you see people automatically doing it at first.
Yeah.
But like I said, I actually said to my controller sponsor, like, first thing you've got to do is make a controller that has L3 on the back, and they were like, yeah, we'll get onto that now. So that'll be a big thing. It'll be people who have like controllers with back buttons will be blasting around a lot more.
Yeah,
I think Exo Stim might be a problem where it gives you the extra health. Like if people, because you can actually get overcharged as well, which makes your exosuit ability last longer. Plus you can have Stim. I don't know. It's just going to be. I can imagine so many frustrating gunfights where they've got Stim on, so they take like loads of hits and. Yeah, and it's Stim is that, and that's the kind of thing where like it will save that person once, but it won't make them good. But it'll make them kill you, so you go off your long streak that you were on, because you can only use your ability once because you're still on a streak. Or maybe it has recharged, like it recharges really slowly from what I see. So it's just completely in the favour of someone who's constantly dying because they constantly get their ability back. So just be like, I don't know, all the abilities are quite good, so it'd be interesting to see how heavily people are drawn to one. But I think Stim is going to be the most popular, and then
Stim
we'll
or Shield, I think. Shield is going to be useful for like if you walk in a corner and there's some guy right in the darkest corner of the map and you hear the gun go off, and you know how many times have you tried to turn on a camper, got like one bullet off and died? Well, now you're going to be able to put your shield up, and be like, I'm just going to wait for you to reload.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I think that perks or abilities that mean people don't have a gun in their hand aren't all that popular, but we'll see. I know it's quite a quick transition.
What about the trophy system? Have you seen that in action yet? You haven't only really shot.
That is an exo, isn't it? It's basically an exo ability.
Yeah.
So they basically, you press a button and then it's like a shield around you, an invisible shield.
Yeah.
For like however long. And it probably blocks 2 explosives. I don't know. If it blocks all explosives until it finishes, that could be quite powerful.
Yeah. Well, there's no C4.
Like if you jump in a hard point and put that on, that's ideal. But it depends how popular nades are, because nades are thrown a bit funny now, aren't they? They're like
they're projected, aren't they?
Vertically.
Like a predator arm.
Yeah, it looks cool actually, but I think it's good because this is the first COD that is actually changing how you play COD in a while. Like other games change COD in terms of, well, you have less health in this one, or it's a bit slower, it's a bit faster. That's it. Whereas this is like, well, no, people who learn all these new mechanics are going to have an advantage, whereas people who just play like old CODs aren't going to do as well, which is nice, I think, to have like that. You know, it gives a chance for people who weren't great at the last one to be good at this one if they can master, or if it suits them for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think the skill gap will be wider in this game, just because of like any movement options and higher speed. it doesn't matter about the kill. A lot of people are going on about the kill time. You need to remember it's being played on LAN, first of all, and if you've ever played Black Ops 2 on LAN, the kill time is quite similar. It's actually quite quick. And when that encounters the internet, that kill time is generally extended.
Gets smoothed out, yeah. I didn't actually take that into account, actually, because, I mean, well, this is a completely different topic, but I actually did a 15-minute video which got globally blocked on YouTube. Thanks YouTube. And it did, that was one of my concerns, was it did look like it was relatively quick, like even with a suppressed gun. Yeah, it looked like it was like 2-3 bullets.
I think it looked right in the gameplay. In the trailers it looked a bit dodgy, but I was told that they probably put it on minuscule health for that, but just to make it look easier to kill. But it looks alright to me. From the gameplay, it looks fine. I see people like take a few shots and not die sometimes, so it can't be that low health. And some people love low health anyway. A lot of people play hardcore, but
I think it was more the summation of all things, which, you know, kind of sucks with Ghost. So take that low health, take all the bad things, and then just add low health to it. And
well, the greatest thing about like this Call of Duty reveal is that, to be fair, it didn't have to do much, but it looks so much better than Ghosts. Like, it didn't have to do much to look better than Ghosts, but it does. Like, to be fair to them, and I think like some people like when they say the Titanfall, like obviously comparison, and looks a bit like Crisis now. But whenever people say that, I just think that's a good thing. Like, when people say, like, it's like Titanfall, it's like, well, yeah, Titanfall was like really fucking good. It was just not addictive, and it was a bit dull. This is COD, which is addictive when it's fun, and loads of unlocks and whatever, and you're gonna have that like Titanfall adrenaline rush of like the jumping and the whatever. So I'm quite happy with it. It's
deep enough to keep you coming back for more, which was Titanfall's failing.
Yeah, see, for me, the thing...
Like, has it gone full retard? Like, people don't... Is there ever going to be, like, another slow-paced COD, like a World War II shooter COD? Because it seems like that's dead now. It's all about the future and, like, mega speed, which is fine, but it would be nice to have, like, a classic, you know, more realistic, well-balanced shooter. Maybe I'm just getting old. I want it a bit slower.
But we've never had... I mean... World at War is not balanced. It's not a balanced game, right? People have fond memories of it, but it's not balanced, and it's not particularly slow. The only reason why it plays slow at times is because the maps are the size of continental Europe, but it's not actually a slow game. I think I know what you mean. Like, do you want a simpler COD that is all the best bits, not all the worst bits, like Ghost is? Because Ghost is a simple COD, right? But it's got all the bits that we don't like about the game. It's got danger close noob tubes, for fuck's sake. Like, how can this be a thing? But to me, COD has always been a derivative of it. Well, it is directly a derivative of Quake, and it feels like they're step by step getting closer to this arena shooter type thing that's like ultra fast, ultra. You know, like the skill gap is massive. If you can't move well, if you can't aim well with twitch reflexes, then you're going to go negative. Like that feels what the archetype of the game actually is. And I think this game could be closer to that. I think its reception completely depends on how deep the casual experience is. And what I mean by that is Titanfall's a great game. There's like 5 guns in it. And a lot of people love COD.
You only use 2.
Yeah, and only one really is viable if you're playing someone of any skill.
And you only ever use Stim. And that's about it.
Yeah, right. So it's quite a narrow game. Whereas this game is like, there's going to be thousands of different gun variants and all this kind of stuff. And I replied to someone on Twitter. They said, "Don't you think it's going to be harsh that someone will have a better gun than you just from a supply drop?" And I was like, kind of, but that's what public and casual playlists are fun for. They're fun for, oh, look, I got this elite version of my favorite gun, or I got a different version of a gun that I don't like that I might try out again. You know.
But technically, they're not going to be better, are they? They're like...
Well, they're going to be rebalanced. So
there's like, it's like, oh, I would prefer a faster fire rate, and I'll trade off recoil or something like that. So it's like they're just going to be like, say your ideal weapon, you know, just tweaked a bit. and so you're just going to find the one that fits you perfectly. So I don't think it'd be like imbalanced, but yeah, well, like when you say you have like the rare items, I mean, I worry about the supply drops. I made a video talking about how I don't want like to just randomly unlock shit just because I got a supply drop. I'd rather earn it through things. But I hope it's at least a mix. I hope not everything is just like, oh, you won't get this camo or you won't get this gun until you get it in a supply drop, because that would just be a bit like a bit pointless, really. So.
I would imagine that it's got the standard COD unlock system as well as this. I don't think they'd ever replace.
Like, I mean, apart from the camos, you can have anything you want basically, as long as you got the squad points. It's a bit like.
I think about the other side of the coin though as well. It's kind of like if you are a casual gamer and you just happen to get a supply drop, what's to stop you from getting something a little bit more rarer than usual, just to bring you back to the game?
Yeah.
And to say, you know what, you've been away for 2 weeks. It looks like you're a casual gamer based on your playtime. I'm going to give you the.
It's like rewarding someone for bad behaviour, Skillsy. That's
yeah, it is kind of, yeah, or a participation medal.
Why not reward the people for the good behaviour who've been turning up to class and actually putting the work in?
I imagine
they'll be max prestige within the first week anyway, so they'll have everything.
Yeah, it's like I imagine it'd be like a bell curve. At different ends of the spectrum, you'll probably have, you know, the people that have been, you know, trying to go for max prestige in the first week, who just purely on odds alone are going to be getting, you know, more and more access to those supply drops. And then you've got the other end of the scale where, you know, you might be a bit of a casual gamer and they want to get you back into the game so that you get hooked on it to the point where you do put more playtime into it.
The thing is, for me, like my view on it is camos, especially gold, is the only thing in the game where I know you've worked for it. Like, you can easily level up to level 70 or 50, whatever, but if you've got a gold model 1887, I know you've worked for that, and no one else in this lobby has got that because I've got it, because I put in the work, and if you have, I like tip my hat to you. What I don't want is like every dick out there who's just got enough supply drops having like, and even if it's not gold camo, just something, you know, like camo's the best way to do it because it's on your gun and it's always there. Like a prestige emblem or something is a bit like, oh, it's in the background. But I just want camos, even if it's not gold, even if it's just something prestigious, where I can only get it if I've grinded out with that gun, because otherwise it just loses its, I don't know.
I did do a virtual tip of the hat to you when you did mention the gold 1887, because I remember the actual video that you did for that, and it was, you know, unless, I think I'm quoting you directly, it's like, unless you like self-harm or something.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean,
that was the draw of the Modern Warfare 3 series originally. It's like, I'm gonna get all the shit gold no one wants to get.
I'm gonna do it for
because
you.
You know, I'll take it on my shoulders. I can deal with it. Like, you can't because it'll make you mad, but I can because I'm strong and I can do it. And that was it. The Model 1887 was probably the most painful one, because but you've got to imagine as well, Modern Warfare 3 just comes out, the game's really fast paced, everyone's using specialist suppressed MP7s and getting Moabs and shit, and I'm there going on like 3-4 kill streaks constantly. My KD is going to absolute shit just because I want to use this retarded gun that looks like a duck or something, and it's just terrible. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not having any fun while everyone else is, but I'm going to get this gold camo, and I don't care about my KD. I don't care about getting a Moab. And I don't get like Moabs and Chems until like the game's been out for 6 months, the way it is now, because I just spend all my time using the shit weapons, and because, you know, I do it so other people don't have to. And for me, that's the draw of the video. Like, some people don't see it like that. They're just like, oh, look at this gold camo, or oh, interesting perspective on that weapon. But for me, it's like, it's almost like a showcase of like the struggles, which I don't think any other weapon guides do that. There might be one or two, but I didn't see anyone else out there doing that who, even with the shittest weapon, would spend days and days and days sitting there playing with it. Like, you might do a video about a shotgun, but most people wouldn't, if it was terrible, they wouldn't use it for a week.
They'll put it down as soon as they've made the video.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, let's get a few games with this. Oh, it looks like this. Oh, these are the stats from the code, the PC code, and yeah, this is all about it. Whereas my video had the extra added. Well, that's what the stat says, but this is how I feel after using it, and so that's another reason why I want, basically back to Advanced Warfare, why I want something that rewards people who want to put work in.
To grind.
Grind.
You want the grind in the game.
Yeah, like obviously there's grinding for the prestige in that, but I mean for Ghost I really couldn't care less about that prestige. They messed it all up with those like unlock a new soldier bollock. Like what the fuck is that all about?
Yeah,
like there's no need for that. And so there was nothing to work for in Ghost. Every gun's available to you as long as you've got the squad points. Every perk's available to you. There's no grind apart from the camos, and they were the shittest unlocks ever, like lean kills and point blanks with a sniper rifle. Okay, like how's that? It's just like play like a retard and get a reward.
Yeah.
Who would think of that idea? Like who would be like, oh, let's reward them for just doing silly things? That is the like epitome of people who don't play the game at making the game. Like no one who plays COD came up with those gold camo challenges. If they did, they just don't get it.
Like one of the ones that there are 3 challenges in Ghost that I find really obnoxious. Lean kills was number 1, but actually after a while I kind of felt vindicated playing this awful, terrible, campy game and then getting my revenge, because I don't play like that, right? Anyone who knows me knows I don't play like that. I'm constantly moving. Getting lean kills was a cathartic experience for me. I was like, do you not know, hey?
They lowered the amount of lean kills you needed. They halved it on all classes.
Yeah, they halved it. But there's lean kills, then there's, for snipers, it wasn't so much the point blanks that pissed me off, it was the 100 prone kills. So, so I've got to lie down and use this. Okay, fair, 100 times, fair enough, that's not a complete waste of my time. And then the second one, on all assault rifles, is get 150 while crouched.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Who crouches around the map? They can imagine loads of people just crouched walking along. Like, I mean,
nobody does that.
Fun. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, anyway, what I'm excited about Advanced Warfare, I think we'll see this moving forward with COD, is that there'll be a bigger separation between the public casual and the league play ranked scenarios, and those will become more and more clear and defined as the games go on, because pretty much the only content that's growing with COD, especially with YouTube or streaming, is esports. So I think that we'll see a greater separation of the two, and publics will just be
like, if the public
become
game
ultra casual.
If the public game is really fun, that could also take off again, like on YouTube, like, because that's what happened in Modern Warfare 2. Like, it took off because it was just balls to the wall crazy, and everyone was like, shit, we've got to play this. It's so hyped. Like, there's so much crazy shit going on. If Advanced Warfare is like that in publics, I think it could make a bit of a revival in terms of like public gameplays and stuff, especially at the start anyway.
I mean, public gameplays are ruined by the fact that people play full ground war teams. Yeah, I know some of these people are my friends, right? They play in 9-man support teams, and they get all the best streaks over and over, and they end up with like 300 kills by the end of the game. And people watch that and they're like, "There's hardly any skill in that." And those full party support gameplays kill the public. Like, it's on YouTube I'm talking about, not people wanting to play it, but for like content and what gameplay is impressive, that just kills it. So. Yeah. I don't think it'll ever blow up like Modern Warfare 2, but I agree with your point that it could become more popular if the game is just fucking incredible.
Yeah, I mean, in general, like, pub stomping videos, I think it is a thing that's like a bit of a mess, because it's just basically spawn trapping now, because the people have got such high standards. It's like you can't physically get that score unless you spawn trap, because you need to kill like one person every 3 seconds or something. Like, mathematically you need to kill someone every 5 seconds, and so if they're on the other side of the map, that's not going to happen. So it is, but if it looks fun to watch, I think people will get over the numbers if people are just doing ridiculous, like, you could showcase just like in Titanfall, there was like showcases of amazing parkour montages. Like, COD could be like that. People could be showcasing amazing movement with kill streaks. I think that would be awesome to watch. Like, if I watch just a 25 kill streak on Ghost and their 25 kill streak on Advanced Warfare, where they're doing all of the jumps and the strafes and that, I think the Advanced Warfare one's gonna have that extra edge to it and be a bit more fun to watch.
It'll have more hype. I think just because of the movement in the game, it'll be more hype. Like the game will have moments that excite you again, because Ghost is kind of the antithesis of that. There's no excitement in that game. It always feels like a grind. Doesn't matter if you're doing well or you're doing badly, it always feels like a grind. Whereas Advanced Warfare, there'll be a moment where you jump in a hard point and there's 4 people in there, and like you'll feel like you're in the movie Desperado, and you'll walk away from the room with explosions behind you, silhouetted against the
do
wall of fire
or something, and like jump up and hover in the air and just mow them all down. Like, it'd be cool.
There's going to be moments like that, and I think every COD fan, like, think back to when you most enjoyed yourself. Most COD fans have had an experience where they've run into an enemy spawn and there's like the whole team looking the other way, right? You're clearly just off spawn, and they're going down one of the 3 lanes of the map, and they're all bunched together in a way that you could kill them within 30 bullets. And that feeling you get just before you fire is why COD is great.
Yeah.
Now, if Advanced Warfare gets that feeling into the core game, like this is how this game's going to feel, like with the evasion and movement and speed, if there's more of that, the game will do well. Whereas if they've gone, there's that, and then there's magical floating IEDs that hunt you down, and you get killed by one of these remote explosives as you get behind 9 people and they're all looking the other way, and it comes and hunts you down because someone threw it in their own spawn because they don't want to get spawn trapped, then fuck the game. But I really hope that doesn't happen, and this is the kind of thing I've always said, it's kind of pointless until, even if you play it at Gamescom, even if you sink hours into the demo, like you're one of those YouTubers that they invite out to these things and you have an opinion about it, it's almost completely irrelevant until it hits the internet. Because when it hits the internet, it'll hit the guys whose job it is to play like the biggest dickhead in the world.
Yeah. Like last night I was playing against like M27 drop shotters in Ghosts, and I'm like, that you just wouldn't play like that if someone could actually, if there was anyone watching you, you would not play like that. It's if I could broadcast, like, you don't know how many people who, like, the classic Ghost troll, Red Clan tag, so they take the public game really seriously, right? Red Clan tag, like 25 days played, favorite gun M27 IR, KD about 1.6, and a ghillie suit. The worst people on the planet. Like, great case for like early euthanasia. They're the worst. These people play because they're using maybe that's a bit strong. They're using a gun that just outguns everything. And if I could broadcast what they do to the world, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't, because it's shameful. And if it's harder to be that way in Advanced Warfare, great. I'm going to be happy.
I've just found my new video series.
Road to Gold M27.
Road to M27, name and shame. Well, I want to get the opinion. I mean, they've been sitting there patiently whilst we've been pontificating. But I mean,
sorry about that.
No. Chris only just watched the trailer literally minutes before the show started. I wanted to get a somewhat newbie kind of point of view and sort of a fresh perspective. Chris, take it away.
Well, I mean, it was like what everyone's saying, there's got all the strafing and double jump and stuff, which gives that bit of extra to the game. It's going to be a lot faster than Titanfall, I think. The Destiny, that was pretty quick, actually. The Destiny beta, I think it'll be similar to that. But I'm not sure if it'll have the vehicles and the turrets and stuff. But I reckon it's going to be a lot more fun with all the strafing and the double jump, because it is quick. It's going to go, it's a bit like what was said, the old Quake game, which I found that really enjoyable. No, it was just no eye in sight. It was just, you couldn't zoom in. It was just 100% run and shoot. I think it's gone back to the old school style.
You kind of need to see though. I mean, Benny, did you miss out on PC this time around, Ben? On Ghosts or at all?
No, I
bought it on PC, didn't you?
Yeah, I bought it. I played it for 20 minutes and then stopped playing it.
Yeah,
I
the worst.
Really hated it because no, I just didn't. I mean, I really liked Ghosts 2. Again, I was like resisting that really bad, but then I saw how much fun you were having with it, and I got it, and I loved it. I had heaps of fun with that, and then there was heaps of hype with Ghosts, and I was like, oh, this is too big to fail. This is going to be great. And then pre-ordered it, which I never do, and then played it, and then hated it. So, yeah, but I mean, judging by this, the multiplayer trailer, it looks, as much as I don't want to say, it looks, you know, like a really good. Like I'm actually looking forward to it.
Could be a good PC game. Because it's like fast. It looks a bit twitchy and all that. It'd be great with a mouse. Like you can actually track people who are going really fast with a mouse quite easily. So if it moves and handles well, and there's lots of customization options on PC in it, and there's like FOV sliders and like good lobbies, it could be a good PC game. I'm hoping so. I'd like to have fun with it on PC, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. So yeah.
I think what else hasn't been mentioned or made much of as well is like if this is to be, I mean, this is a new standard that we haven't seen in or a new verticality or movement structure that we haven't seen in other Call of Duties before. Now with the whole 3-year development cycle, do you think that there's more of a pressure on whoever's next in line to kind of go, we're going to take up this torch and we're going to, still continue along the pathway of a futuristic kind of shooter, or do they go down the track of, we want to make our own game. We want to iterate this Call of Duty in a way that we see fit rather than sort of build on something that was kind of groundbreaking at the time.
I think each dev studio is going to have a much more unique and personal take on the game. I think that Treyarch won't take any pressure from Advanced Warfare. I mean, they've already got the compliment of the fact that it's like Advanced Warfare is clearly more the son of Black Ops 2 than it is any Infinity Ward game, let's be perfectly honest.
I think they gave them a lot of praise as well, like Pick 13, Bloodthirsties, like loads of stuff from Black Ops 2 is in the game. I think they realise Black Ops 2 was...
Yeah. But in answer to your question, I think that Treyarch and everyone, I think the 3 dev studios will be left free to make, their Call of Duty. If something's really popular and just takes off, in Modern Warfare 3, the best thing for me that's ever been in Call of Duty is Specialist, and that wasn't in Black Ops 2. And I think that answers your question. Mm-hmm. I think that if they're so far in their dev cycle, even if something's really popular, that Treyarch especially won't bend to popular opinion and try and implement it late. I think that they'll do their own thing, and you'll play their version of the game. That's what I think will happen.
Jay?
Yeah, I'm just like talking about this made me think. I wonder what it's going to be like when the next Infinity Ward game comes out. Like, I can just imagine like it will just get slated like just before it's even out. Like, imagine doing the Infinity Ward reveal. Or to be fair, if it looks good, it will look good. Like, who knows what they'll do. But I'm hoping Black Ops 2. Like, now I've seen Advanced Warfare. I'm hoping Treyarch are gonna stay in the kind of speed of game they've got. Like, because it would be nice if there was like a really fast-paced one, Advanced Warfare. Then Black Ops 2 is kind of more standard, and then Infinity Ward. I don't really care what they do anymore as long as it's not Ghost. So I think it'll be... I do think they need to like learn off of each other. I don't like it when they don't take things through that were really popular. Obviously, like this Pick 13 system is in Advanced Warfare, and it's basically the Black Ops 2 one with extra. Whereas Infinity Ward were like, oh, okay, Pick 10's popular in Black Ops 2, but we're gonna have like, I don't know, what is it, like Pick 8, and it's just going to be the perks, and you have to have, like, you'll be able to have 2 attachments and whatever. It's like, I don't know. I think they should take over the most popular things, because otherwise you run the risk of like going backwards in time, like having less things in your game than before. I don't know.
And people
I think
skipping
it's good to
entire
have three,
games.
though. It's good to have. Yeah, it's almost like you've got 3 different games now, which is cool. That's like, whereas before it was just COD. Whereas now it's like, well, there's 3 CODs, and now you just like have a different one every year.
Because I mean,
Can you imagine if FIFA did something like that, or a franchise like that? Like every year it was a completely different developer. It'd be like, well, it's a different game, which is basically what COD's turning into.
Which is kind of
which
why...
is its only way of surviving, as far as I'm concerned.
That's why Assassin's Creed perplexes me so much. I'm just like, it's essentially the same game, different country, different time frame. I mean, they won't get me this year.
And they really hammer out the Assassin's Creed now. Jesus, they do like 3 a year or something.
I made a joke about it in the last podcast. I said, well, it's been about 12 seconds, so I think we're about due for another Assassin's Creed.
Having said that, I watched my friend play Black Flag, and I was like, this isn't a fucking Assassin's Creed game. This is a pirate game where you can assassinate people. And for that, I was
Jack
like,
Sparrow
this is
Chronicles.
I know nothing about Assassin's Creed. Never really been into it. Don't play a lot of one-player games. This is not putting my values onto anybody else, but I find them to be a fantastic waste of my time. Like, I'm just like, oh, I got most of them turn into inventory management or fetch quests anyway. So I was like, well, I've never been into Assassin's Creed. Then watch them play it, and they're like at sea in some massive pitched battle that looks like Trafalgar. I'm like, what's the name of this game again? Assassin's Creed. What are you assassinating? Boats? And then they're like jumping off onto islands and stuff. Yeah. So my friends are pressuring me to buy Assassin's Creed Unity, and who knows, it might be the first one I ever play. But I often thought 1 a year is pushing it for most game franchises. That's crazy when you think about it.
It's like absence makes the heart grow fonder, isn't it? You don't even get a chance to miss it.
It's like I'm looking at that achievement list.
Not many people playing it, I suppose.
Like you're on 99 achievements of 100, and then by the time you get that 100th one, or whatever the number is, and then you've probably got like 3 or 4 weeks until the next release date. Like, right, I'll get 3 hours, 3 weeks break, see some sunlight.
Get back to work.
Get back to work.
That's what they want, though, I suppose, isn't it? The people who make the games, they don't want you to have a break.
Yeah, they want you to keep pouring the money in.
I hope there's no, something I mentioned in a wish list video for Advanced Warfare, I hope the microtransaction aren't as, retarded as Ghosts. They, seeing people running around in astronaut suits and Space Cats camo was just too much for me. I found it hard to take it seriously anyway, and then when it's just, Spectrum camo people and...
Gay pride. Gay pride
really, they've gone to extreme, and, Snoop Dogg voiceover DLC. It's like they've just gone full retard to just try and get people in. I
didn't realise the Snoop Dogg demographic was so real.
Well, it is quite popular actually. You'd be surprised how many the people who are still on COD are I don't know. They kind of dig it. I suppose they must do.
I was playing Ghost today, just testing a bit of OBS, and I must have connected some sort of West Coast American server, playing with a whole bunch of LaQuishas and Letitias and Shaquandras and all that shit, and it was bedlam. It was unbelievable. And I thought,
they should do a Morgan Freeman voice pack or something. That would be popular.
like Christopher Walken, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine. That would sell like hotcakes.
Exactly.
See, I'd buy the Walken one. Yeah. I would. Yeah. I'd buy everyone would buy the Walken one.
Who's the community manager?
And also, it'd have to say things in his style. Couldn't just be repeating lines. It'd just be his awkwardness would have to come across.
Yeah. Someone tweet at Sledgehammer. We've got some dynamite suggestions coming up. That guy's got a sweet car, actually.
Kevin Spacey one. Surely.
The what?
Surely there's a Kevin Spacey pack for Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, he's in the sound booth. He's right there.
The pack.
Yeah.
You mean voiceover for multiplayer? Yeah. I didn't actually notice the voice in multiplayer. I think it just sounds like the soldiers, like it always normally does.
It's
I'll tell you what though. I mean that's one thing I did want to mention is the sound design on this sounds pretty good. remember thinking the same thing about Black Ops 2 when I was just listening to it. I mean, Jay knows this. I listen to a lot of his streams. I don't watch streams if I'm at work, but just like listening to gameplay, just that little like radio crackle when commands are coming across and just explosions and gun sounds and stuff. Sounds like they've spent a bit more time on this than they have.
I think that, I mean, to be honest, the best sounding game is probably still Battlefield. Like in terms of like when you go into like a hallway with a reflective floor, you can really hear that in the reverb in the guns and stuff, and that just like it really makes it feel realistic. Like it just sounds completely different when you're inside. And so yeah, I mean they're normally pretty good at all that kind of stuff now. So I'm expecting Advanced Warfare will be the same now with like all the different reverbs and effects depending on your situation. So it does actually sound like even Ghost wasn't bad. Like sometimes you get like these nice like crunchy noises if you exploded something on a more grainy surface and stuff like that. So sound design is really good these days in most of these games. Like
you touched on it before though, did you say there was no dead silence?
Yeah, there's no dead silence or amplify, and pros were saying that this is the reason why they weren't playing Search in their showcase games is because apparently they said, this is paraphrasing what Chandri said, but it's like it's very difficult to balance a dead silence and higher awareness perk in a COD game. It's like it's really hard to balance whether one counters the other, therefore makes it useless. So we're just not going to do it. However, in Search, they're going to have a solution. So basically, there's going to be everyone has dead silence in the game type Search and Destroy. So that for me is kind of fine. I think if you're playing COD and you're not using a headset at this point, most people I know, even young kids have headsets. Like sound whoring has always been a part of the game, and I think to a greater or lesser extent, games have rewarded you for that. What I don't like is, pardon me, Black Ops 2, where you can't hear anybody's footsteps. Like the amount of times people sprinted up behind me with an LMG, and I didn't hear anything, right? And no one's shooting next to me, So like, if it was real life, you wouldn't hear anything because of all the guns. Look, no one's near me, and this massive LMG dude with all this like body armor is just like trundled up behind me silently like a ninja, and shot me in the back. I don't want that. I want to be able to hear footsteps if it's quiet and I'm listening for it because I've flanked someone or something. That's fine, but I don't want it to ruin game types like Search and Destroy. Removes all like decision making. I spoke to someone who's like really in Search. It's like Amplify and things like that are terrible because they basically make people lazy and don't play the game mode. It's like, all right, fair enough. So it probably shouldn't be in the game for that game mode, which is, it looks like that's what they're doing. So I don't know.
There was one of those, some of the gameplay that I saw where it literally sounded like you were wearing lead boots.
Yeah.
On like gangways and stuff. It was just like clang, clang, clang. It sounded like you're an iron worker or something, like some sort of steel mason. Yeah, we shall see. What do you think of the maps that you saw? Is that kind
I feel like
adhere to the 3-channel approach that we all know and love? Better flow, better traffic patterns?
I feel like COD, we've been on a gap year, right? And we've been hanging out with that weird dude at the hostel that no one really likes. And you've kind of got sick of his like cutting his toenails and leaving them out like everywhere, like on the shared bunks and stuff, and you just
this sounds a little close to home, Eddie.
Yeah, like this has been a weird gap year, and I just want to go home and have a hot shower. And now it looks like we're going to be playing COD again. So the maps aren't ridiculous. They look pretty good. Like they look either 3-channel or with like much more verticality because of the new movement. Verticality generally in a game that is quite slow is bad because it leads to people like getting to the roof, and that's a power position, and the game slows right down because you can't move anywhere. However, that's not going to be a problem in this game. So I think the multi-level thing's not going to be a problem. It's going to be a bonus because it's going to be flanking.
I think the biolab level looked relatively small for a COD these days, which is hilarious, really, because back in the day it wouldn't be considered small, but now I think that looks like a small map, especially if you bring into account the faster movement. But then when you get even a slightly bigger map, I feel it's not going to matter. Now you've got the blast suppressor. Like if you gave me not Siege, Jesus, Stonehaven, is that what it's called? The map, the big one, in Ghost, and you gave
which
me
one?
Exo.
I just call it Game of Thrones.
But yeah, if you gave me the exosuit on that map, it would instantly make it less annoying, like because you could blast everywhere. And so I think the slightly bigger maps aren't going to be as annoying, and the small maps are still going to be fun because most people aren't going to be blasting around too much in a small map because there's no need to. You want your gun at your side, you want to shoot. So I think it's good like that. My main problem is the fact that I feel like people will roof camp. Like I just don't see
that will definitely happen.
And I don't see.
It will definitely happen.
I think, but then it's going to turn into rooftop warfare, which is like annoying. I suppose you can get around that. You can play an objective game mode where the like hard points where they're going to be indoors and there's going to be no roofs. But I feel like, especially in like general like dominations and TDMs, some of the maps are just built for people to just get on the roof and sit there and kill people and. I don't know. I can imagine the rage of like constantly spawning on the ground and just getting killed from above. Because now you've got you don't just look in front of you. You look up. Like sometimes you look up now in COD, but it's going to be every time you have to watch now. So
that was Titanfall was kind of like in my notes. Actually, it was map. This is to quote me directly. Map design because of the verticality might introduce new annoyances in relation to camping.
But Titanfall was like that. Like if you played against a team who knew what they were doing, everyone immediately straight off the first engagements were always on the roofs, and then the game sort of
I guess it is less annoying when it's easy to get up there yourself. I'm thinking about I suppose I'm thinking it's annoying in games where like they're up on the roof and I'm not going to be able to get on that roof because I have to go up this ladder and round the stairs and blah blah blah. But I suppose if it's like I can quickly jump on a roof as well, then it probably will be less annoying.
It turns into a chess match though, doesn't it? It's like seeking the high, both teams at high ground.
I was doing that last night in Battlefield 4 on that freaking Zavod map. There was like one of the roofs and we both decided we wanted to get on there and snipe, and it was just a constant back and forth of like them stopping me getting up there, then I stopped them get up there, and carried on like that for the whole game.
But that's kind of... what game mode were you playing on Zavod? Were you playing Conquest?
Domination.
Oh, right, because on that map Zavod is, for me, AIDS on Domination. But on, like, Conquest, because there's, like, choppers and stuff dropping people off all the time from both sides, that, like, those two building rooftops, I know exactly what you're talking about, that's actually one of the most fun fights on the map because it's constantly... It's not like one person gets up there and snipes. There's, like, legions of people prone on the roof, and if you get up behind them you can shank them all and then go to the other roof. It's fantastic. I think game mode will be very important when considering whether the map is fun. Like hardpoint will make roof camping kind of meaningless, but if you're looking at like a more traditional like TDM or kill confirmed or domination kind of game, one of the points might be on the roof. You never know. Like B flag might be on the roof, and then it really does turn into everyone jump up there as quickly as possible, which I don't think is a bad thing, really. Maybe that's just me.
Benny, Chris, say something. Jesus.
Well, I think anything that we say, when we're talking with these sort of titans, I don't think...
Heathens.
Yeah.
Who are these people speaking?
We are. Don't mind me, I'm just playing Hearthstone over here. So. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I mean, I really can't articulate it any better than that. But, and again, the last one left such a bad, like, Eddie said, the last one left such a bad taste in my mouth sort of thing. I kind of, and as bad as it sounds, I kind of couldn't, oh no, I won't say it. But, yeah, it was very hard to get into this next COD sort of thing. And at the moment, I kind of couldn't give two shits about COD. But after seeing that trailer, it does look pretty cool.
It takes a trailer like that to kind of win you back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't know where I'm going
Well,
with
that new Facebook picture or something like, oh look, I'm all hot again. Like, check me out.
I lost
Oh,
10,
she lost 5 pounds.
I lost 5 pounds. Oh, well,
Yeah.
10 kilos.
Got a new haircut.
Sup, girl?
All that.
All right. Well, let's change speeds a bit to kind of encourage some different conversation. What else did we happen to see at Gamescom that kind of took our fancy? Anything? A lot of bundles coming out.
Well, Daisy for PS4.
Daisy for PS4. This will be something that Ben will be able to jump right on board in.
Yeah, this is going to be fucking interesting. So, what a journey that game has
like. At what point did they decide, you know what, this is a finished product, let's release on PS4? Or is it just going to be the same old...
It's just going to bring more money to the game. It's going to make it get better chance of it getting finished because it's going to have a bigger player base, blah, blah, blah. It's never going to get finished. It's a
game in perpetuity.
And I think it'll be like that on PS4 as well. It'll be like, but the one thing that's interesting is I think if it's on PS4, it has to have like trophies, and so then you're at least going to have things that you're going to have to do, which is going to make it a bit more fun, I guess. Like, I don't know what they'll do, but
I can't wait for the whinging as well. I mean, the PC gamers have been whinging about it, and wait until console gamers start whinging about it even more because they're like, oh, what is this? It's like,
I'd love to know the retail price on it though.
Well,
Is it going to be like
$89.95 probably?
It's going to be like Ground Zeroes where they're going to charge $50 for a semi-finished game or something, and they won't get that it's a early access in air quotes.
It'll be more than $50 Australian.
Yeah. Yeah, 67.
I think half the fun is that it's a bit broken actually.
Mod was kind of like that, but.
Well, in Black Ops 2, was it 25 kills for a nuclear, or was it 30?
30.
Yeah.
30.
I must be the only person in this call, by the sounds of it, who doesn't play DayZ.
You do, Eddie. We played it.
Yeah, Jay's tried to get me into it.
You've probably got more hours than I do. I've played with Ben like literally 2 hours and then put it down.
I was just like, well, this... First of all, you have to have a degree in computer science to get all the graphical settings right so that it actually functions at more than like 12 frames per second.
That's the game.
If that experience is taken care of because it's on the PS4, then I think I don't find it the most accessible game of all time. Let's put it that way. I think it's got its fan base because of what they made the game, right? So when people played it when it was a mod, there's a culture that is kind of cool and separate and its own thing. And I think when you try and market that experience, what people did, like, it's like fan fiction. It's like trying to put fan fiction on the bookshelf. It's something that a sub-community did that was really cool for that sub-community and has a lot of really cool things about it. But it's kind of difficult to explain to someone who plays COD.
Doesn't have broad appeal.
Yeah, it's like it's incredibly niche, and the experience it's about as unpolished as I think I've ever played a game that I've paid for. You know, because I paid for the standalone, and I was like, this is like rubbish. You know, that was my first impression. I was like, this is terrible. Like, this looks like a final year project from someone who's at uni studying game design, and that's fine. And people made it, its fans made it what it was. I don't know how that's going to work with console gamers. I just think that they're incredibly impatient and don't have the right mindset for it to be a success.
Minecraft, though, that's a bit like that. When you first pick it up, although it's not as broken as DayZ or whatever, it's like, kind of looks like something some student just whipped up, and it's like, well, how's this going to be a fun game? But then I think when Minecraft went console as well, it kind of went full retard. That's when like it really started appealing to the younger audience. And like I used to play a bit of Minecraft back in like 2011, but when it got to like 2012 and just like, oh god, this army of kids started getting into it, and it's just like, this is just not my game anymore. Like, it wasn't really my game in particular, but it was kind of interesting. I was like, you know, to mess about in, and now it's just terrible. Like for me, like I could play it, but once it's the console, it's like the whole audience changes. Like, and DayZ always had a kind of like cool PC modder aspect to it, and then standalones come out and it's a bit like stupid with all its stupid hats and the bad melee system, and it's just not as cool as Arma 2 DayZ. Like Arma 2 DayZ has like a military theme to it, and there's really cool guns and camos, and it's a bit more serious. And DayZ standalone's just a bit more stupid, like you bit of stupid hats and like I don't know. There's something about it which is just a bit not as cool. Like I play the Arma 2 mod quite a lot now, just before I fancy playing that kind of game because it's just a bit more cool to me rather than DayZ, which is just it's gone a bit stupid, really.
Right, it doesn't have an easy. Sorry, carry on.
There you go.
I was just going to say, it doesn't have an easily translatable concept that you can explain it to someone that doesn't know about it. Like Minecraft, even though, yeah, it looks like a fucking final year project, I could quite easily say to, like, my mum, who knows nothing about games, it's Lego, basically. Like, you could explain it in those terms, and she would understand, oh, it's a game where you can make stuff, there's crafting, you can... It's like a giant playbox with infinite bricks.
But technically, originally it was meant to be a survival game. That's kind of what it is. Like, yeah, you can place things, but originally it's like surviving was meant to be the most difficult thing. The reason it's not like that now is people play on servers and stuff, and they play on easy mode, where you don't have to do much to survive. You basically just build. But originally it was like, we've got to survive, because it was difficult to survive, and it is now. If you play it on hardcore, like, you have to be organised.
I mean, it is called Minecraft, so I don't, like, I think, well, maybe it was a survival game in its
You craft things to survive, though. It's not like, crafting is not like building, is it?
Crochet.
So you have to craft your sword and you have to
Mine survival.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that said, though, I mean, it's since DayZ's hitting consoles, from a purely game completion point of view, do you think there's the potential for, is it H1Z1, Jay?
Yeah, it's the new one.
You've been touting that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much faith in these like survival games at the moment. Like, none of them seem to be able to pin down what it is we really want. Apart from kind of Minecraft, ironically, because I know like people who like play that a lot now are just building stuff. But the survival games are, after DayZ kind of messed it up, and even the guy behind DayZ said it's a flawed concept for a game. Now when a new one comes out, I'm like, well, what's gonna make this one fun? Like in standalone, in DayZ mod, it was kind of fun because it was like new and the map was so huge and there was loads to discover. But in H1Z1, what's going to be the fun of it? Is it going to be surviving? If so, like, sometimes it's fun if it's difficult to survive. It's difficult to find things, but then it's like, well, maybe it's difficult to find things because the servers are messed up and loot doesn't respawn properly, and then that's not fun. I'm just being punished because they couldn't develop this properly. And I'd just be interested to see where the fun in is that game. Maybe there's going to be, like, I know there's going to be vehicles. Like, if you can easily get a vehicle and just, like, drive around, pick people up, that would be fun, I guess. So I just wait. You got to wait till you play it. Any game like that, you don't know what's going to make it a fun time.
Who knows? Yeah, I just thought in terms of like just it purely from a release point of view and it being completed, as loose as that term is.
I don't think it'll be any more polished, because these games are constantly evolving, though, aren't they? Now they're never just like, here's the game. Now we're going to piss off and make the next game. Like, it's quite often an ever evolving thing. But yeah, I mean, it'll be nice because I think it will at least not. They won't release it if it's broken. Put it that way, which Bohemia is more than willing to do, and just be like, oh, early access, blah de blah. Like, yeah, they won't release something that doesn't work. The studio seems like a decent studio.
Yeah, I guess we'll see about that.
To be honest, I feel like Bohemia is going to always hide behind the early access excuse and just never push it to beta or release, because they can always just say, well, it's still in testing. It's like, And I think that is one of the reasons the guy left. Like the frustrations of they can't get right what they tried to do because of the way they've done it. Like and the realization they might have to start again and things like that. And it's just they're just too deep into it.
We'll see. What else was there? Bundles. My God, it's like freaking A&E. Like the delivery room at A&E with the amount of bundles that cropped up over Gamescom. FIFA, Call of Duty, terabyte hard drive. What was the other one? Sunset Overdrive. I'm actually looking forward to that, actually.
I think it looks good.
Yeah. Something a bit crazy, a bit zany.
The thing is with bundles, though, is like people who are really into consoles, like they just buy them when they come out. So what do I care about a bloody bundle? Like, I don't give a shit. It's just to get new people to buy a thing. To be honest, I think this will be the year, this Christmas, where a lot more people convert. So that's why there's a lot of bundles coming out. Like, especially with like the new Call of Duty being like mainly on. I think there is going to be an old console version, but it's not even being made by Sledgehammer. It's just like going to be some retarded version. And some games are just next gen, like The Crew is going to be next gen only and stuff like that. So I think you are going to finally see, and GTA 5 is coming out next gen. I think this is the year of people picking up these systems, and that's why we're seeing so many bundles, because it's like, make the most of it.
I can understand if they were stylized, maybe like the Call of Duty one, but like the FIFA one is just white.
There, I think.
Yeah, I've pre-ordered the PS4, the white PS4 one. That's in the next few weeks. Yeah, can't wait for that.
Can I just say something about next gen? I don't think my experience with next gen. I don't think I'm going to get another console. I think when it comes time for me to, move on, it's just going to be a PC. I just can't handle. It's been out a year, and there's hardly anyone on it, and I've had an Xbox and a PS4. The PS4 is by far superior. But I did a... Jay knows this is quite kind of funny.
I was going to say, you sold your Xbox One, didn't you?
Yeah, I sold my Xbox One because it's a piece of shit. And had the PS4. And the only person I know who has a PS4 is Jay. And because he's a YouTuber, he's not always around to play games and stuff.
But bullshit, by the way. Ed never asked me to play. That's what really
No,
happened.
that's... Honestly, when I was on, you weren't on. I basically, what happened is I got next gen, went PS4 because it was better, loved the PS4, and was like, I'm just playing by myself. None of my friends have this. So...
I sympathise.
So I bought an Xbox One, and then through the miracle of updating my Mac Pro to the newest operating system, just fucked an old version of Avid that I used as my edit suite. Cost myself loads of money. Had to buy a new version. Had to fund it. Had to sell my PS4. So now I'm stuck with an Xbox One, which I play with my mates, which is the good bit, but it's still an Xbox One, so it still annoys the fuck out of me. It's still slow. It's still a year on, like... Hardly anyone in any lobbies in like Ghost. I mean, Battlefield's okay, but like Ghost is it's unplayable because there's no one on it. And next time I'm just going to be like, do you know what? Instead of doing this, I'm just going to casually upgrade my PC with a new graphics card, maybe every year, treat myself.
The event, the Xbox crashed.
No way.
In the final of the G3 Gfinity Pro tournament, the Xbox I think it crashed twice, or at least once. And then what they did is, because it crashed, like the actual one that was streaming from, because it crashed, they had to restart it. And when they restarted it, the name of the Xbox Live account popped up on screen, and then it got constant messages where people and they had notifications on. And the dude who was in charge, he was sitting there for 10 minutes. He couldn't work out how to turn notifications off, and this is in the final of the whole championship. And he was like, oh, I can't figure out how you do this. How do you do this? And like, it was so funny. It was just so like, I don't know, just like epitomized the Xbox One. Like,
it's the Windows 98 blue screen live on TV moment, isn't it?
And then it was like, how do I actually turn off notifications? What? And you could see he was there going, why is this so complicated? I can't figure it out. And someone had to like come on and show him how to do it. And it's like, it should not be like that. Like, who tested that? Like, who went, right, let's test out like how people use this feature. Okay, and they sat someone down and said, okay, turn notifications off. They would have sat there for at least 10 minutes, obviously. Like, you just you can't, unless you're shown, it's very difficult to work out. So it goes to show you, no one tested that. No one like gave a shit about stuff like that. And it's little oversights like that that make you annoyed with a console. 'Cause it's like, you know, you spend your money on it, they know you're going to use it, and yet they don't have the courtesy to... It's like exactly the same as before, where like they put stuff in COD by things that have been decided by people who don't play it. It's like,
were you one of those people though? Like JX23 has sent you a friend request. Did you see your name pop up on the screen?
What do you mean?
Like during that outage.
Oh, did I do it? No, I was at the event, so I didn't do it. No.
Ali A has sent you a friend request. Oh crap!
I don't know why they didn't, like, you know how the Xbox 360 menus, like you press the middle thing and then this little menu comes up and it's all in like white and grey and green and all that crap. Why not just do exactly the same, just in black and green, huh? And like instead of like round edges and drop shadows, just make it, you know, your flat design architecture, and then
Windows
everyone would.
Screen style Windows 8 tile system.
A touch screen for screens that aren't touch. Anyway, so just make it like the 360, except change the GUI, and then nobody would be complaining about it. Like, why? Oh, it's not that great for TV. It's a games console.
I think someone's got the sack for that, obviously. I think
people have
their jobs over this.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on an epic 30-minute rant about Microsoft and their ineptitude, but I'll try and restrain myself.
I'll invite you back next week.
I wish I still had my PS4.
Well, that's something I was actually going to ask Gavin about, but if everybody else has got an Xbox One, my one has actually been crashing a lot, and I'm still suffering from the black screen of death.
Really?
Which was supposed to be fixed in the last patch.
You've kept that quiet from me. What else are you telling me?
Fix that, actually. You sell it and you get PS4. Oh.
Yeah.
They even had a sale on today. As far as I know, it's still going.
Zing. Yeah.
Get it from Big Smith. It's now under $400. Yeah. You got 30 minutes to make up your mind before the sale ends.
Do it. Don't be a one-sided person. Just, you know, hedge your bets. Go with both.
To be honest, it annoys me that obviously as like someone who covers Call of Duty a lot, that I'm going to have to play Xbox this year. Like at certain points, I'm going to have to play it. And whenever I go to an event where there are going to be opportunities to record DLC or to even like a competitive event, I'm going to have to use the Xbox controller. And like it's such a shame. I mean, I can understand exclusivity, but for me personally, it's such a pain in the ass because without COD, I've got no need for my Xbox. So I probably would actually sell it if I didn't play COD or if I didn't cover COD on YouTube and stuff. And that's a bit of a frustration. Although saying that, it's a bit random, and this should not be the main selling point in the system. I do like the Xbox Fitness thing it comes with, so I have to say that's pretty decent. It's like quite advanced.
Yeah,
considering it's free.
I've dabbled in that. Just need to make
sure. Do you need to have your like Big Brother Connect stare into your life device for that?
Yes.
Okay.
You put your Connect on. That's how it tracks what you're doing.
Yeah, I fired mine out of a cannon.
Really?
No,
you don't have it.
I don't own a cannon, but I mean, it'd be quite funny. No, I just don't. I don't use it. I think it's a horrible thing.
You don't have it in.
It's in my cupboard. I don't plug it in. I find the whole. I don't know. I find webcams acceptable because I can just unplug the USB and or like turn it away. But for some reason, I find the Kinect incredibly intrusive.
Well, the fact that it listens, you know, it listens. Like I was live streaming the other day, and I said, something like, I think we're done for today or something, and then my Xbox turned on, and I was like, what? And I forgot I'd left the Kinect in. And do you know what the funny thing was? Is at the end of playing that PT game, that scary demo, and I was like, I think I'm done. And then the Xbox goes, da-ding. I'm like, oh, the fuck? Like, it was a pretty spooky moment, actually, because I said I'm done because it was just beyond scary. I was like, I can't play this anymore. And then, like, that happened. But, yeah, it was because it was plugged in. Now I have it there. I just have it unplugged. And then if I want to do the fitness thing, I plug it in, but yeah, I don't like having it in because it listens. The fact that it's constantly listening, what the fuck is that all about? Like, why do you need to constantly listen? Just so I can turn it on?
Yes.
Like, what fucking bullshit is that? If I want to turn it on, I press the Xbox button or turn it on.
I don't want to say I got concerned about it, but I was playing NBA 2K. I play basketball, and anyone who knows me knows I can get a little bit angry at times, both on the basketball court as well as playing basketball. I was something happened in like a tight match, down by 2, like 3 or 4 seconds to go. Something happened. I just went, "Oh, that's fucking bullshit!" Bang! They've hooked it up to the referee. Technical foul. Ended up losing the game.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I'm like,
yeah, it listens to what you say and it counts in game. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
technical foul for
I
you.
can't virtually chin this bloke. Like,
Literally.
I'd love to be able to. Technical foul, motherfucker. Trot over there, smash.
It was more ruthless than it is than half the 16-year-old referees that I encounter on a Monday night. Ridiculous. Needless to say, I end up losing that game. So great, good stuff.
Yeah.
What about the Vita? Because I don't have a mobile console, but Zoe really wants one. She really wants a 3DS, and I'm umming and ahhing.
I think she's probably better suited to maybe a 3DS purely from games.
What kind of game does she like to play?
And the fact that there are some. I don't know. Chris has got a Vita.
Yeah, I've had both. It's just the Vita, it's kind of got left behind. It'll have a couple of good games. It's kind of like the Nintendo Wii. There's a couple of games you play and you love, and then there's just a lot of stuff that it's mainly for kids. It's not for, you don't want to play it. The catalogue is just very sparse of good games.
It's just such a shame though, because it's such a nice bit of kit as well.
It is. It looks really nice, and it's well made. Like the 3DS, it's well made as well, but it does have that it's made for kids look, where the Vita, looks more like something you don't have to be a kid to have.
I mean, there was talk months and months ago about the PS4 being bundled with it at some point, which did kind of work its way into my brain in terms of, if it's essentially being given to me, quote unquote, for free or at a reduced price, is that necessarily enough for me to pull the trigger on it? And then, I mean, that was reported months ago. I don't think that's happening.
I could see that being quite smart, actually, if they did that. Having said that, most of the PS4s that are ever going to be bought have already been bought because it's sold really well. So
10 million or something already.
Yep, 10 mil. 10 mil actual sold as opposed to shipped to retailers.
Oh shit!
What's funny is like this generation, we're a year in, and I don't think the majority of the people that I know have swapped over yet. Like most people I know are still playing their 360s or their PS3s.
Yeah,
so how many are going to... Yeah, the games just aren't there.
And even the Xbox Live, the marketplace and stuff, there's just nothing there. Like, you can't buy the remastered games off Xbox Live. The marketplace for 360 is great. You can get old copies of games and stuff, but you can't do it.
I remember though, no one really bought a PS3 when it came out as well. I remember I going around my friends and he got it on release and he had like, what was that Def Jam fighting game? It was like rappers fighting each other, and that was about it. I was thinking, God, we've got nothing to play on this thing. And then, I mean, Resistance came out and MotorStorm, and I like those. But there was a good year or so where it was very like, where's the games? Or the classic joke, like there's nothing to play. So, but I think after this Christmas, that won't be an issue.
I think backwards compatibility had a lot to do with it as well. It's like, for such a technologically, in inverted commas, advanced, state that we're in at the moment, and our previous systems have been backwards compatible. Just for that to be the biggest oversight and like a safeguard for people to go, yeah, no, you just buy it now and you'll be able to play all your 360 or your PS3 games that you've got before, and not with this whole digital model of, you know, repurchase them kind of thing digitally and then download them.
Yeah. What's this thing Sony are doing where you can like access all the Sony old games? It's called like Sony Now or something, but basically that's their vision instead of backwards compatibility. It's all about you pay like £5 a month or something, or you like basically rent the games as you play them.
Is that PS Now?
Is that what it is? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, there's PS Now. They said no to EA Access, which
everyone said no.
Well, yeah.
Xbox didn't.
Xbox said, "Fuck yeah, I'll take it."
Now what they did is like, oh, Sony's not going to have this, so let's call it exclusive to Xbox. Probably. Like, no, Sony just didn't want it.
Yeah.
What did you think about the whole Tomb Raider thing and how, under the cloak of mystery,
couldn't give less of a shit.
Quite irrelevant. Tomb Raider. It's quite an irrelevant franchise now. Like, yeah, it was a good game when it came out, well, like on PS1, but I mean, it's basically just another RPG action third-person game, like, which although they're fun, they're also like 10 come out every year, and they're all quite decent. So nothing really tends to stand out, I suppose.
It's just, you know, the fuss that's being made out of it. It's, you know, it's like Microsoft taking another exclusive from Sony. How come they're not winning then?
Yeah.
You know, that's always the caveat to that. It's like,
But I mean, was Tomb Raider really a big game on PS3?
yeah, I mean, I would say that it was fairly synonymous with the PlayStation. But we're talking 15 years ago.
The last one wasn't exactly like the ultimate seller, was it? It was good. It was actually a good game, but like, I don't think it was all like, oh, this is a Sony game. It was just, by then it was already just, it's still multi-platform now.
I mean, even if you removed the game itself from, I suppose, that announcement, insert game here kind of thing, do you think how the way they went about it was kind of the best way though? Because, I mean, it's fairly, I don't know if underhanded is probably the right word or too strong a word. For it to then come out less than 48 hours later, it's like, oh, no, we meant timed exclusive.
Oh, they always do that though. Always. They do it with COD, don't they?
Yeah.
But no one, I mean, if no one's got faith in that term anymore, exclusivity, like, and whether or not it's a timed exclusive or, you know, platform exclusive.
Yeah, I think you could have to say timed if it is, or like, I don't think it's right that they say exclusive when they don't actually have the rights. Like exclusive rights.
I also think it's just it's an indicator of developers. Like, as far as I'm concerned, making your game exclusive to one platform in today's market is just fucking suicide. Like, it's the reason why Gears of War, instead of being the biggest game in the world, isn't. It's the reason why Titanfall isn't. It's the reason why a load of these games have now, especially with the next gen, if you're signing an exclusivity deal with Xbox, you're resigning yourself to way less than half the sales you could make, because it's being outsold by the PS4. For devs, it doesn't make, and especially like distributors, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, I can't see it. I mean, I had this argument on a different podcast. I was like, there's going to be a time where this is just bullshit, where the developers are just like, no, I don't want to potentially make less than half of the earnings I could make.
I don't know, but although saying that, like studios like Naughty Dog and people behind Little Big Planet, they seem to do quite well being exclusively on Sony. Like, they're still, I mean, if the game is good enough, sometimes it's like, I think for games that are like Tomb Raider, where it's not a massive franchise, yeah, like they want to be on both. Like, I can understand that, but I can't imagine like Uncharted being on both. I don't know, it just seemed weird. It'd almost take away from like it a little bit, I think, if it was on both. I don't know why I feel like that.
Well, it's fine if you're exclusive with the console with 10 million installed users. Like that, I'm sure to them that makes sense. But to sign with Xbox exclusively at this point is just, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Clutching at straws, but they do have the money to throw at it, luckily. Like, if there's enough money thrown about, anything's possible. You don't know what links Microsoft are going to go to stamp some... I mean, they still must be playing quite a lot for COD exclusivity. I think the contract runs out this year, like after this year. I mean, last time I heard it was before this year, but I was expecting this year for it to be like an even playing field, but it's obviously not. It's still very Xbox heavy, unfortunately.
But this is the company, right? I'll just do a tiny bit on Microsoft, because this is kind of... I have a whole series dedicated to the bullshit that marketing people speak.
Is this a teaser for next week, is that?
Yeah, it's just... It's like, this is the company that thought that had the market share, that was dominant, especially in the West. Maybe not in Japan and Asia, but especially in the West. Had the market share, had Call of Duty, had all the power, had all the bargaining power in the world. And they totally fucked up their new console because, firstly, the Kinect is obviously someone who was very important's terrible idea. That's the reason why it got pushed, is because someone very powerful at Microsoft was really behind the project. Because gamers couldn't really care less, I don't think. If you took like a wide spectrum of gamers, they don't really care about motion controls. They're kind of comfortable with their tropes, you know, control or whatever. I don't really care about it. So they focused on the wrong thing. And then they made another bad mistake where they were like, we want to own the living room and we're going to sell this as a multimedia machine that plays games. From the company that had the gaming market in the West absolutely nailed down. And they've lost all of that traction. And it's just an incredible display of like poor, like bad management. Yeah, at Microsoft, and bad decision making.
Bring it back though. I mean, E3, like, their conference was pretty good, I've got to admit, and it was just games. But it is too late for sure. Most people made their mind up, but they eventually recognised it. Like 2 years too late, basically. Like, they should have recognised it a year before it came out.
Yeah, but why have the 360 and then make that decision? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just exceptionally poor planning.
Like, well, this is the problem though, when like companies or anything get too big, like, because then you just become out of touch with what you're doing, because you've just become this global corporation monster, and you're just no longer you've no longer got your feet on the ground, you know, you've no longer got your ear to the wall. You don't really know what's going on. You're just some big, huge company, and you've got to make something else. And they're like, oh, let's make a freaking box that everyone's going to want, and then like the whole world will use it, and this will be the future, instead of let's do games again. Like, that's what people like playing. They like playing games.
Yeah. I mean, I just find it so funny because they just seen Sony for the entire generation before make that mistake, right? The PS3 was mismarketed and misdirected, and their biggest rival, they had the market share because of the same mistake that they then just made in front of the entire world. Like, that first set of conferences, Sony must, like, they couldn't have in their wildest dreams expected Microsoft to fuck it up that badly. They could not. They like, everything in their marketing strategies would not have thought that Microsoft would have done that. And then they were smart enough to say, you know, they did that little viral advert, this is how you share games on a PS4. Like, that's incredibly switched on thinking, and it showed to a lot of the consumers, maybe not the kids, but to people who think. They're like, Sony have got their thinking hats on, and Microsoft just don't. And that informed a lot of people's buying decision, and we're at the situation we are now, which is like Microsoft are playing catch up. Where's 4K gaming? Will that ever happen, you know, on a console that isn't as powerful, that is already outdated compared to PC? Like, I don't know. I just, whatever bundle they do.
Just like I said, people who understand games were the people making the decisions at Sony, and the people at Microsoft weren't people who understand games consoles. It can almost come down to that. They obviously just didn't get what people wanted. And
I guess that's the frustration with Nintendo as well. It's like you see them constantly turning their back on what normal management decisions would classify as smart decisions. And it's like, I'm just going to turn my back on that.
You think if Nintendo really wanted, surely they could be a big player still. Do you know what I mean? They could bring all these other games to their console. You know, it's not difficult to make a machine that has 8 gigs of RAM and a decent graphics card. And, yeah, they could implement a system where it's easy to develop for their console. But they're just like, fuck that shit. Let's just keep making Mario Kart and see what happens. Like, I don't...
Pretty much.
And in some ways it's nice because those Microsoft exclusives, they are very nice. They're very well made and they're cool, but it's weird to think that they don't want to be a major player in the console market. I think they just always saw themselves as a major player because the Wii sold so much, but in all honesty, it was just numbers. They weren't really a major games console. They were like a toy instead of a games console. It was like a fad.
I think there was an element to the Wii that I think, you know, to a certain extent, I think the Kinect tried to take on, but remove the hardware from that and to say, okay, well, you know, Kinect 1.0 or whatever it was, let's try and redefine or build upon the popularity of the Wii U. My mum and dad have got a Wii U. It gets used on December 25th. Every single year when I'm round there for Christmas, and then it's gathering dust for the rest of the year. So it was kind of like, let's build on that, try and make it more part of the lounge room. And I mean, like Eddie said, it's probably someone fairly high up that has decided to take this torch, run with it, and make it a staple of the gaming.
The thing is, imagine if Nintendo had come out of the Xbox One, then we'd all be like praising how amazingly well Nintendo had done to like get into proper games, but still have all the like the front room thing going on as well. But
yeah, but they wouldn't have done it. First of all, the interface wouldn't be it wouldn't be unusable. It wouldn't be difficult and to interface with. It wouldn't be so poorly thought out. The difference. The difference between Nintendo's motion controls and the Kinect, which is just a money grab, is that the Wii was designed as a core idea to have motion controls, and everything was then built on top of that. So it was a very clear and well thought out principle, whereas the Kinect isn't. And Nintendo went, we've got this idea, we're taking a chance, we hope it works out. And it did. Whereas Microsoft is a reaction. It's not an action. It's not an original thought. It's we want some of that pie, but now we're going to ignore the pie that we've already got. And how many have you sold?
Well, I mean the PlayStation Move. I mean that's sold as a peripheral from day one. It's not forced upon you. You don't have any sort of NSA conspiracy theories. Yeah. But I mean, if that factored into the base price of an Xbox One, which it clearly did, and obviously ate up a few graphical resources as well, because now they're able to tap into that, then...
that price, though, that was a killer as well,
it was,
like, really. In fact, it was more expensive. Like, I couldn't go up to anyone and say, get an Xbox, unless they were the hardcore of hardcore. Well, like Eddie, really, who's ended up going to Xbox just because his friends are on there. Like, if that's what you want, you might have to.
I made a fucking video about it.
Well, to me, the most fun I ever had with gaming was in the COD 4, Halo 3, Gears 1 era, and it was all with my friends. And it was before I did YouTube or was involved in media of any kind. Well, not in my real job, I was in media, but like in gaming media, before I'd, even thought about buying a capture device for games. And I just remember having so much fun with my friends, and as I got into YouTube, that sort of dissipated. Like they stopped playing COD because the games got worse, and I just stopped having that social interaction with games, which is where I stayed up till 3 a.m. just laughing so hard that I cried those memories I just wanted to recapture, because although I loved my PS4, it was a solitary experience. It was like I'm playing beautiful games on my own with no one to share this with.
You never asked me to play it, that's why.
You were never on. Like this, I would have played with you all the time.
Just got to ask, Ted.
I'm going to write down both your gamer tags right now for next month.
Oh, we can't play with you, Skills. Are you in Australia? That'd be a nightmare.
Which is why I've never jumped in. Yeah.
Nah. As much as I'd like to, it's just not.
Oh yeah, and by the way, to add us on Xbox One is some ridiculous palaver. You've got to follow me, and then I've got to follow you, and then we've both got to tweet it out and share it on Facebook or some other bullshit, and then finally we'll be confirmed as super best friends on Xbox. But inviting you to a game, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that's it. It's voice controlled as well. Xbox, invite Eddie. Oh shit!
You didn't do the correct motion with your hands, therefore you cannot get. You will permanently be placed on the opposite team in Battlefield 4. Congratulations! This is gaming with friends.
Enable party chat.
It is weird, isn't it? How weirdly enough, like the next generation has separated people more than it's brought them together in terms of online gaming. Like people are now even further apart from each other. Like there's even more barriers in between me and you playing a game of Ghosts on Xbox One than there was playing COD 4 on Xbox 360. It was like, that's surely not what they wanted to do, but that's how it's happened.
We might unbeknownstly be crafting the topic for Eddie's next video. A North and South Korea divide between Xbox and PlayStation users that, depending on your sway, and who's North and who's South.
See, I've got a gaming laptop, right, and it's got a really good graphics card, and I love, I've played more with friends on PC in like Blacklight because it's free, and the free market of PC games is fantastic, and the digital distribution model works really well, especially with Steam, and they have sales, and this is another thing I've ranted about. Like, you can buy Ghosts to download as a digital copy on Xbox One. If you went on there now, it would be £52. £52 for like the worst gaming experience of your life. Whereas they just don't do. They're not Valve. They don't understand anything.
You can actually get Ghosts on PC for £12 at the moment on G2A. Like, so if you wanted to try it out, it's worth a punt at that. But yeah, 50 quid for a digital download. Thanks.
What's the code there, Jay?
The code? It's just on G2A.
No, you got a code J for an extra.
Oh, you can use code J for an extra 3% off, of course.
That plug.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Ghosts, I watch people play PC Ghosts and it looks boring. For some reason, it just doesn't look right. It just looks odd. Like, so I can understand why Ghosts is not popular on PC at all. Because, I still play Ghosts on PS4 every now and then, just jump in. I actually, weirdly enough, I'm having more fun with it now than I used to, like, a couple of months after release. I think because I'm not having to play it and I'm just not treating it seriously, and I'm just getting that little Twitch shooter fix, and I'm not getting too mad at things because I know they're annoying anyway, and so I'm actually having an okay time on Ghost. Like, I did quit last night after I ran into the M27 Captain Price soldier with like drop shotting, and the thing that got me is I ran into this dude and he killed me before he was even looking at me. And I'm like, that just is broken. Like, that is a broken mechanic. Like, I know that there's some compensating for connections, but if I took that 60 frame video and went frame by frame, I guarantee you there was about 2 frames between him seeing me and me being dead, and giving the kill times of the guns, that's just not physically possible. And so that's what annoys me. It's like, when, obviously you're always going to have that of an online game because the connections are never going to be super spot on, but that I feel cheated. I feel like he's connectioned his way to that. Like, not even the kill. Like, I couldn't even challenge the kill. Like, I couldn't even get a shot at him. I was dead before I even saw him.
And there's no gun in the game, right? Just for the meta of Ghosts, there's no gun in the game that will challenge that gun.
And also,
it outguns everything.
No one seemed to notice that they didn't mention anything about dedicated servers in Advanced Warfare Reveal.
Is that
so?
That's not. You think now or not?
Huh? No, it's not going to happen.
It's not an assumption.
No, they didn't mention it. It's not happening because it's a big selling point. So
yeah, they're not gonna do what they did with Ghosts, which is have listen servers and dedicated servers. A mix of some sort of half-assed gesture towards the idea and then market it because people get pissed off with it. They're just not going to do it. I have a feeling that there might be dedicated servers for League Play, but they're just not going to make a big song and dance about it.
I mean, they could do. Maybe they're saving an announcement for Eurogamer or closer to release, like the extra announcement, but I would be surprised if they did that. Did you hear my dog then?
Yeah.
How weird. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a hell of a backstep, though. To make
What, no dedicated servers?
Yeah.
The connections on next gen are just much better than they are on PS3 or 360, though. So I don't really care. I've played COD for years on peer-to-peer, and the Xbox One version, the Xbox One connections, this is the one thing about the console, is that generally I don't have connection issues. The connection between players is generally good, across loads of different games. So
yeah, I'll go along with that. I mean, even today when I was seemingly talking to Laguna Beach, didn't even factor into how much lag there was.
No, it's
I have to say, like Eddie went on about it for a while, but like the hit detection in Ghosts is really good. That's one thing I've really noticed when I'm playing it now. Like it really feels solid when you're shooting at people. Like when you're actually getting the hits. Like if I go back to Black Ops 2 or especially things like COD 4, where obviously it was very early days for them with hit detection and hit boxes, and then I go on to Ghost, I'm like, damn, it really feels like I'm actually hitting people with the bullets. Like in some ways it's annoying because you get dropped so quick because the detection's so good, but other times it's like, oh no, this is actually satisfying to get people in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I always felt like, I don't know if you guys felt like this, but like Black Ops 2, I just always felt like I was shooting paper targets. It didn't feel like I was firing a gun with like weighty impact. I just felt like I was shooting paper targets that were running at me at speeds because they're using lightweight that the engine can't keep up with. Honestly, that's my experience with Black Ops 2. It just felt so thin and anemic. It didn't feel weighty. Whereas the Ghost, for all its problems, isn't one of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Other games, Gamescom wise, anything else take your fancy? I mean, I bought Far Cry 3 purely on the basis of you, Jay. Pretty pumped for Far Cry 4.
Watching you play it?
Hey?
What, watching me play it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Far Cry 4 should be really good. I don't know what extra was shown at Gamescom for Far Cry 4. I didn't see, but they don't even need to tell me anything about that game. I know it's going to be good and I'm going to get it, so that's a no.
Will you tell that to Benny? Benny?
Well, think about not getting it.
He wasn't a Far Cry 3 advocate.
Far Cry 3 was a bit weird for multiplayer, but single player, me personally, I loved it. I like exploring things. Give me a sandbox and let me have my fun and give me little things to do, and that'll be me. That's why I like DayZ, and that's why I like when I play GTA, I don't actually play GTA. I play let's have some fun in this world I've been given. So Far Cry 3 was the first Far Cry that was like that. It was like, let's go hunt some salamanders, and then let's go take down this control tower, and I didn't even have to give a fuck, for a better word, of what the story's all about. Let's repair this ship because we're stranded. And although the story was quite good in Far Cry 3, there was good characters and stuff, I don't really care about them. I'm very much this is a video game. Apart from some stories maybe Heavy Rain or The Last of Us, it doesn't really capture me too often, and so I'm just here's the fun, let's go have the fun. And Far Cry 3 for me was just here's guns, here's animals, here's parachutes, here's mountains, go do it. And then, so now it's going to be Far Cry 4, more of that with elephants and snowy mountains and hang gliders. I'm yeah, count me in, I'll play around with that game.
I saw large grizzly bears in one of the screenshots. I'm not sure how okay I am with shotgunning grizzly bears to the face, but...
Oh, you did it with tigers in Far Cry 3 though, didn't you? They're pretty majestic animals, but you're still bam. They'll still come at you, aren't they?
Flamethrower, just...
It does feel bad. I don't know if it was you can imagine it was little dogs, my little my little dog or something, like a little cute animal. I don't know if I could shoot that in the face, but like
Oh,
if it's
I
something, well, Eddie, careful. If it was something that was like, I don't know, could kill me if it wanted to, I'll quite happily shoot it in game, even if it is a bear or a tiger, even a
The
panda.
smaller and more annoying the dog, the more drastic the firearm you need to take care of this problem.
So,
Like if it's a Chihuahua,
there he
I'm-
is.
Tell me you could take a firearm to this. Look,
It's
look
Eddie.
at this. You could never do any harm to this.
Man, he's grown.
He's getting big. Look at him.
Big.
Big boy.
he's cute actually.
I say big, like he's still a tiny dog, bigger than he was.
That Teddy. Evolve. I interested to know your opinion on that, and whether or not it's too one-dimensional, and it's like co-op, and will that wear thin?
Is there much to it other than one's a monster, there's 4 people, let's survive as long as we can? Is there anything else? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think
Left
so.
4 Dead, at least, maybe if it has different levels and stuff, like Left 4 Dead was basically survive through the zombies, but then there were different levels, like there was like different scenery. I don't mean like levels of gameplay, but if it's really well done, it will be it will be good enough. But yeah, it should be pretty spectacular, really, to be able to hold your attention. If that's just basically the concept and you just do that over and over and over, it's going to have some real depth to it to be addictive.
And I guess that's the same thing that concerned me about Alien Isolation and how much replayability there is in that. Because I mean, for all of Evolve and for Alien Isolation and kind of games that revolve around, you know, a single walkthrough. You know, Alien's kind of prided itself on saying that it evolves very, like no 2 games are ever going to be the same, because, you know, the alien's constantly learning your previous movements and all that kind of bullshit. And I'm like, how much of that is actually true? But I mean, Evolve itself is just that one particular game mode, and Alien Isolation is essentially hide and seek with death. Yeah.
I think we're in the M. Night Shyamalan era of games where there's going to be like one kernel of an idea of which is then expanded upon that doesn't have much legs. Like that feels like the era we're in now. Like survive against a monster. Is there anything else? No.
There have been a couple of games coming out with that style of horror game. I think there's one come out where apparently any character can be killed in the story. And there's also another one where you actually play as the ghost or the evil thing, and you have to plan your way through the house to kill everybody else.
So it's like lots of twists to the story, basically. That's what it is.
Kind
It's
of,
like,
yeah.
but I need to ask: has anyone here played PT?
I watched a playthrough about it today, and
Yes.
I mean, it was clear to see, kind of thing, that, you know, the people making the videos about 48 hours, 72 hours after the announcement have probably gone on YouTube to know where the jump scares are to try and figure out exactly what to do, because a lot of it revolves around like, what do I do with the phone, or what do I do with this security code or whatever. And I haven't seen anyone actually use it. I've seen them go 3 or 4 laps deep, get jump scared by this thing in the corridor, game over. I don't actually know what, I mean, I know it's supposed to be a playable teaser, but I don't actually know. Did you get through it?
Oh, I didn't. I don't think I got through it. I just kind of, I stopped playing after 3 hours because I couldn't figure out how to make the last thing happen. And the only reason I thought there was more things to happen is because people were telling me in my Twitch chat, they were like, oh, then once this happens, then that's the end. But I had done everything up to that, and there's a certain way of triggering the end, and I just couldn't work it out because it's not obvious. There's no like obvious button presses in the game. Like you just go up to things and look at it and then press X and maybe something happens. But to be fair, like if you watch a YouTube video of it or something like that, that's not the experience. And to be honest, if you do that, I think you've spoilt it for yourself. Because when I downloaded that, it just came on the market, and someone said, "Oh, go download it," and I was like, "All right." And it was like midnight, and I thought, "I'll just play this game on stream." I was bored of whatever I was playing, and I downloaded it. And I started playing it, and it said PT. For all I knew, I thought this was like some indie game or something. It looked really weird. All it had was like a couple of letters for a title.
Or fitness
and
workout.
And then I turned... Sorry?
Fitness workout, personal training or something?
Yeah, or whatever, like part-time game, I don't know. And I turned it on, and the first thing I noticed is like, oh, it's a horror game, obviously. And like, oh, these graphics are actually quite good. Like, this actually looks very realistic. And I had it up quite loud. It was midnight, it was dark outside, I was sitting here on my own, obviously apart from my stream was there watching, and I had no idea what to do. Like, I hadn't watched anything about it, whatever, and all I did is I turned up, and all of a sudden I'm in some hallway, and like walked down this hallway, and like, you know, it's really creepy, all these sounds and things and odd things going on, the radio on telling this story of a crime, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And then I walked through the end of the hallway and open the next door, and then I'm back in the same hallway. And so, oh, hang on, like, this is the same hallway. And I was like, okay, so now I'll walk down here again, and like nothing happened. I walked through again the door, back into the hallway again, like it's kind of like a never-ending loop. And then I thought, this is weird. And then each time you did it, something was slightly different in the hallway.
Yeah, one light turned off or something.
Yeah, and then at one point, like, the first jump scare happened because, like, there was a little door open and there was, like, a crying sound behind the door, and I couldn't really see in the door, and it wouldn't let you open the door. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do, and I just had to leave it. And I thought, well, maybe if I walk through the door, like the end door again, and I'll come back around and there'll be something new. So I walked out of the whole thing, and it brings you back around. Obviously not to the same one, just like a never-ending weird loop. And then the next time, the same thing was happening, and the crying started. And the next time, I looked in the crack of the door, and this fucking, like, ghost woman thing just, like appeared and, like, screamed and then shut the door. And I was like, and that, from then on, I was like, I was so scared after that. I was literally, and what made it scarier is I didn't know what this was. Like, now people are like, oh, it's the teaser for the Silent Hill game. Oh, it's this. And I'm like, for me, I'm like, what the fuck? It's like some creepypasta shit. It's like some game that doesn't even have a proper name. It's randomly appeared on the PlayStation Store. It's the middle of the night. There's no controls. There's no, like, proper menus. I'm like, I thought this is really fucked up. And I'm like, well, if I was expecting a really bad-looking indie game, you know, like just clunky and shitty, but it looked so realistic. And I'm thinking, like, this is starting to mess me up now. And it keeps going, and I'll be honest, it's probably the scariest game I've ever played in my life, but it's only scary if you have no idea what's going on and you haven't seen any playthroughs, and to be honest, if no one's explained it at all. And to be honest, like, if you'd played it now, after my description, it would still be scary, but for me, because I had that experience of, like, what the fuck is this? Like, I almost felt like a nightmare scenario. Like, this game was actually going to jump out into my house. Like, it was, for me, it was terrifying, like, absolute. And the ghosts, like, a couple of the things that come out and scare you are, like, the creepiest, most realistic things I've ever seen. Like, before that, a lot of people, like, Amnesia is, like, probably the scariest thing out of video games. And that was scary, but, like, the monsters were a bit like, meh, and then when you saw them, it was like, oh, okay, I'm going to die. But this was, it's so psychological. If you're, like, someone who can really get scared by psychological horrors rather than, like, gore, then this is what it's all about. I mean, for me, it's all about sound. Like, sound scares the shit out of me. If I played that game on mute, I wouldn't give two shits. Like, it would not scare me in the slightest. But when I've got the sound up, that's what scares me. I don't know. Like, I'm quite like a musical person. It, like, really affects me emotionally, like sounds. And it was horrifying. Like, I would literally to the point where I would definitely say, I would not let someone who is, like, young play it. Absolutely not, because it's beyond horror. It's interactive. And it looked so realistic. Like, it looks like real life. Obviously not completely, but very close. Like, it's getting to that point now where I can imagine people getting really fucking like bad dreams
Distressed.
and all kinds of. Yeah,
See,
I mean, I was going to say, especially where like I didn't know what it was. That was the thing. It was like, what the fuck is this shit? Why is it like look so good? Why am I finding this freaky as fuck? Like if I had heard, oh, it's a Silent Hill teaser, or oh, it's just an indie game, I'd have been like, okay. But for me, it was like, and everyone in my Twitch chat as well was like, what the fuck is this?
There's no setup to it.
Yeah, and that's what was so great about it. The whole surprise of it all. Whereas now, it's everyone knows about it. They know what it is. They've seen screenshots, and it's like, not bad horror game, but I thought it was amazing.
I was just going to say, like, I understand why people like horror movies, right? Because it's like 90 minutes and it scares you and you get adrenaline pumping and it makes you feel alive, right? Because it puts you through the survivor process of like being terrified and yet surviving. So that's why people find it euphoric afterwards. I don't know how good it is for a human being to be scared that much, hours and hours and hours on end. I don't know how, like, what that's going to do to people. Like, a horror movie is over in 90 minutes, right? Yeah. And a real-life terror situation might be over a lot quicker than that. But if you're playing a game and you're playing a PlayStation for like 8 hours, of which time the whole 8 hours you're spent completely shitting yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
For me, I think you have to be playing it at night for it to be proper scary. Like for some reason, when I woke up the next day and I thought, oh, I could play that again, I just knew it wouldn't be as scary. For, like just the daylight and the people outside. Like on my street at night, they turn out all the street lights to save energy, so it is pitch black outside my house. And that whole thing, I live on my own here. Everything added to it. Like if I played that all night. Like I was 3 hours in, and obviously there's not much action in it, and I was still hooked. Like I really wanted to see what was next. Like I just really did, because what had happened before had scared the shit. Like there was some bits where, like it came up with this like phone book screen with loads of writing on it, and it said like call again or we'll call soon or something, and it was so out of character for the game. It almost like broke the third wall a bit. And I thought, what is this meant to happen? Is that a glitch? Like, it really felt like, that horror movie scenario where it's like, oh, it's not a dream. This is real. And, like, during the day, that wouldn't have, I don't know, just wouldn't have had the same effect. I'd just been like, all right, I'm going to go get a sandwich or something. I don't know. But at night, you feel a lot more vulnerable.
I mean, Ghibli used to do a lot of horror stuff, didn't he?
Yeah.
There was a girl that I met on Wednesday night at that event, Emma. She does a lot of horror stuff on her channel, and it's kind of, she was getting asked by her subscribers to, it's like, oh, you should really check out PT and give that a go and see what you think of it, kind of thing. And I don't know whether or not she was putting it off for a couple of days, but she's like, yeah, I'll finally give it a go. And when she did, I mean, she looked like she was genuinely experiencing what you were before, like completely fresh to it, a kind of level of apprehension about being caught in this infinite loop of hallways. And when that jump scare happened, it was real. And I kind of felt sorry for her. I was like, fuck, like you're doing...
Yeah.
You're
to be fair, about not far into the game, I've never done this before in a game. I've played loads of horror games. I was literally at the point of, I'm not going to play this. And I think if I was not streaming, I think I would have stopped. I was that emotionally, like, it fucked me up that much that I was like, nah, I just don't want to do this tonight. Like, I just don't. Like, I don't want this. I was feeling a bit like paranoid and weird anyway. And so adding that on, like if I didn't have my stream there going, oh, go on, just do it, I probably would have stopped. But yeah, I'm concerned for how far horror games are going to go now, like with how scary they are, because they can be terrifying now, I think, with the graphics. And
I think if it humanizes it a bit more, I mean, you said it before with Amnesia and stuff, if it kind of detached itself from reality, it was just a monster or something like that, then that's fair enough. But when it's like a human which could have been zombified or just exhumed or something like that, a bit more human. I mean, when this thing, it kind of reminded me of Slender Man and how, don't turn around because he's going to be there kind of thing. But as soon as, when I was watching Emma, I was actually fast forwarding to the major events, which I'd seen on other things just to see how she'd react to it. I mean,
there's a bit in that game actually, the PT game, where because there's a radio on, and as you first start to walk around, it's like telling the same news story, but then after a while it kind of changes what it's saying a little bit, and at one point it says, and then they told the person to not turn around, and then it says don't turn around, and then it says it again louder. And you're like, what? And I didn't turn around, and then this fucking thing came out and just went in my face, and that was another big jump scare moment. But things like that, like they're just so good at like psychological horror. Like people who are really good at it will just, I mean, that really messed me up. And then the next time I went through the hallway, it said it again. It said, don't turn around. And the first time it says it quietly, and so you're like, oh, well, whatever, it was just quiet, it doesn't matter. And then it like says it again like in a couple of minutes, so you're like, is the game telling me to turn around to not get killed, or is it saying if I turn around I'm gonna die? And it really fucking got to me. I'm like, shit, what do I do? Do I turn around? Do I not turn around? Like for some reason I just didn't want to die in that game, also because I kind of felt like I wanted to figure out what was going on, and I worried that if I died I'd have to start again. And so it almost wasn't as if like, oh, I worried I was going to actually die in real life or anything, but it was like, I don't want this character to die because I'm interested in this story, and now I don't want to fuck it all up. And so that was kind of, I don't know, scary as it was, but I just wanted to mention it because I think it is definitely, that demo has one-upped every horror thing I've ever played. Like it's I mean, I'm not looking forward to all like the shitty, scary action videos on YouTube and stuff, and I won't watch them. But as an experience, if people are into horror, I think they're in for a treat. Like if they enjoy that kind of thing.
That sounds like too much for me.
Well, I mean,
too much.
It was so. See, the funny. Emma's reaction was so genuine. I mean, I'll link it down below when this eventually gets up there. But it was just so genuine, and how. Yeah.
The funny thing about horror is that in the film world, the reason why horror is popular for filmmakers is because it's cheap. It's really cheap to make a horror film, and the potential earnings from it, if it's got a particularly vicious scare in it. Because horror fans are really, like, dedicated fans, right? If you're into horror movies, there's loads of them, and they go and see every movie in the cinema. Like, they go and pay to watch a good movie in a dark theater, and that's a thing. Like, they get pirated way less because actually part of the experience is going to a large room where there's loads of other people and you're all scared shitless. So filmmakers love them, studios love them because they're really cheap. Now, if that's the same with games, so that horror films, like, I watched someone play through, like, Outlast a little bit, and I was like, the world and the textures are really nice, and the lighting's really nice, and the sound design's really well done. But there's hardly any game. So that looks cheap to me. Like, not cheap as in it looks bad, but it looks cheaper to make than, say, a COD, you know, where you had...
Oh, yeah. If you compare making that PT trailer to making Destiny or something, then yeah. I mean, yeah. And that maybe, like you say, a lot of more studios will go for horror because there's not as much design to it in a lot of ways. Yeah. It's just all about the psychological design.
That's why it's popular in film, but I think games, it's a trend I'm noticing more, like games, there's more horror games coming out, you know, there's more and more of this kind of stuff.
A new developer or an indie developer as well, you think, oh, a horror game, I could make a horror game, do you know what I mean? It's like, as you say, oh, make the next COD, fuck that, like, but I'd have a go at a horror game or...
Yeah, been able to make a whole series about it on GameSpot. Two girls who work for GameSpot here in Sydney, they do House of Horrors, I think, on a Thursday. I think it televises, thankfully, at a good time frame here. It's like midday here. Don't know what that equates to in the States, but that's all they play. They just play horror games. Might be Amnesia, might be... There was one that they were playing where they had to look through a digital camera to see the ghosts or something. Don't know what game that was. They sort of showed up on a spectrograph or something.
Yeah. I don't know the one, but yeah, I can't remember what it was.
But yeah. Horror games. Who needs them? I guess I kind of wanted to finish up. We're kind of 2 and a bit hours deep. Did you want to touch on Robin Williams? just in case?
Well, there is petitions to get him immortalized in at least this older game, and also World of Warcraft. He was a fan.
Yeah, they've already agreed to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, Blizzard said they're definitely going to do that, aren't they?
Cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I kind of want to stay away from the whole like moralizing about suicide topic, because I think it gets very murky depending on people's experience of whether they've had someone do that in their real life. And I think I will just mention like someone like Woody's Gamertag putting a post on Reddit. As also people who are in the media who make inflammatory statements about something like that. It's a kind of really cynical way of grabbing the attention for themselves, and I find that really distasteful.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to say he's a piece of shit for doing that, you're saying that knowing that you will get massive amounts of attention for being that guy, right? And it's kind of, there's no such thing as bad press. Rush Limbaugh did it as well, you know, and it's just, it's grabbing, it's attaching yourself to a tragedy. It's kind of Westboro Baptist Church level. Like that's how I see it. It's like,
well, they're protesting it as well, aren't they? They're going to be protesting.
Yeah, well, I saw someone I follow on Twitter saying like, oh, they're planning to picket the funeral. I hope they get hit by a truck. And I was like, no, the best thing to do would to be have like all, how fucking famous he is, to have all his stand-up friends come to the funeral and then just like entertain the people counter-picketing them. Right, so you got all the best stand-up comedians in the world just ripping into the fucking Westboro Baptist Church, like, and just make everybody laugh. That would be the best thing.
And sell it as a DVD and then donate the proceeds to
as,
charity.
Exactly, yeah. Just be like, well, this is ultimate crowd work, right? Okay, so you're playing the room, like, and you got the best people, you got the best audience in the world in the Westboro Baptist Church, because they're just a gold mine of material, and it's like that. I wouldn't be surprised if one of his mates does do that, you know, because if they do picket it, there's going to be a counter picket as well. Like, I don't know.
I guess the
When's the funeral then? Has it been arranged? Do you know?
Don't know. I mean, I guess I just saw details of a memorial service. Didn't pay any attention to the date, but just the fact that they're planning to picket it. Which...
to be honest, it's almost like lost its shock value, the Westboro Baptist Church. Like, it had a bit of shock value at first, and now it's like, meh. Like, it's just expected, and it's just boring, you know. And people are like outraged of the west of the church, and then they're like you say, counter picket. But I think now it's almost gotten to the point where like, no one cares. Like, I don't know. It's only offensive if you take offence to it. Like, I know it's not ideal to have like people like that at your funerals and stuff, but they only doing it if you like, because they'll get attention from it. Like, if you ignore them, eventually they'll stop doing it because they're not getting anything out of it if you're not giving them any attention. Like, I know it's difficult to ignore, but
it's like the ultimate extreme. It's like the logical extreme of a comment troll. That's what it is. It's like someone who just puts hate in your comment section. The Westboro Baptist Church is the logical zenith of that concept. So you have to just treat it like one of those people and just be like, don't even dignify with a response.
They say similar stuff though, don't they? Like, I don't know, you're a faggot or something. Like, that's kind of thing they'd say, and that's what the comments say, isn't it? Just for the fun of it. I don't know. They're trying to. I don't know if they are trying to preach their message or they are just trying to get exposure for the fun of it. I don't know.
I'm just trying to figure out what their message is on this one. Is it purely just suicide, or
he was a gay enabler, wasn't he? Because this works in the entertainment.
Something about being gay, you know.
From a movie like 5 years ago.
They're like, what's it called? Birdcage or whatever.
Birdcage. Yeah.
I just don't get why they're so obsessed with the gay thing, isn't it? It's like, they're saying that as if it's like the ultimate insult. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it's just like not insulting at all, really. It's just like the connotation.
Picketing against Heath Ledger for Brokeback Mountain, like 4 or 5 years later.
I don't know. I think
their
it
way through a
starts to
timeline.
lose its edge because, like, But, like, don't get me wrong, when like we was younger and stuff like that, like you might say like, oh, you're gay, and it was like an insult. But I think as people like move on from all of that, as like generations change, I don't think that's going to be an insult anymore. Like, it's just going to be like, oh yeah, and what kind of thing? Or do you know what I mean? It's like getting less of a taboo almost.
Yeah, it's a funny story. I've got one of my flatmates is gay, and he regularly screams at the TV when the football's on and calls the ref a fucking faggot, like regularly. Like, and he's an out gay dude, and he's like, yeah, I could fucking say it. You're a fucking faggot, and it always just makes me laugh. Like he's just totally taken control of the word, and it won't be an insult at all.
We get to use that word, not you.
Yeah, you don't get to use it.
That's our word.
I think the shock value of extremists like that is we live in an age where, not to get political or anything, but post 9/11, we live in an age where we just, like, the general populace just accepts that there's some really crazy extreme people that don't listen to reason, that are stuck in a fixed form of thinking that doesn't tolerate the world. Like, you can have a problem with gay people and like campaign against it. You're not going to stop gayness. like you're not going to stop people being gay. You're not going to hold back the tides like some sort of cultural King Canute. It's not going to happen. Like, you can be extreme all you want. You can hold these views. You can be racist. You can be sexist. You can be homophobic. It doesn't mean you have any impact on the world. And eventually, it just turns into crazy people shouting at the sky. Like, and I think that's what you're talking about. Like, at some point,
what an image that is. Just like Moses standing on the bank there, just erecting this like barrier to like protect and like to separate the gay people. Moses just
begone gayness. Like, there were gay people before the Bible. I hate to be the guy that mentions this fact, but it's true. So,
well, aren't there like, they reckon when there's not 10 commandments, there's like 7,400 and something commandments, but they just we'll just whittle them down. We'll just whittle them down. 10's a nice round number. That's fine. We'll stick to that.
Someone said to me in a joke the other day, they were like, "Thou shalt not covet your neighbour's wife," and he's like, "What? So it's a sin to find someone attractive, of which you have no control over? You can burn in hell eternally for finding someone attractive. Great, nice." Awesome. Sounds really fair.
Yeah, so that's always one of the catch-22 things when you talk about religion, or like, especially Christianity. It's things like, well, we're being punished for things that were beyond our control. Like, that doesn't seem fair. Like, doesn't seem like someone who loved or created you would do that. Like, punish you for natural, feelings. Like,
I've always loved Ricky Gervais's quips about religion and how, very little makes sense. I can't remember what stand-up it was in. He was saying how every law of the land is in the Bible. He's like, and the teacher who was teaching him scripture in school was like, "Yep, every law of the land is in the Bible." And then Ricky just like, "What? Even video piracy?" Yeah, dynamite geezer.
It is funny. I don't think religion's just becoming such a mess now. I think what will happen with religion is like a lot of religions will just evolve into like, well, a lot of people do it anyway, just more modern, convenient style religious beliefs rather than obviously the set ones. Because you've got to like think, before like the Industrial Revolution and like all these scientific advances, for thousands of years people would just believe the same things and there'd be nothing really to question it too much. But obviously the last 100 years, where things have gone on so much and there's so many things that can be explained that were never explained before, like, it is open to a lot more questioning than it ever had been. For 1,000 years, there's probably no way to question things. And now it's just a lot more, with communication and all the resources available to us, a lot less people are like, "Oh yeah, I'll go along with that." Because like, well, hang on, I can find this out, and this is how this actually works. And I don't believe what you told me in church because, look, this was what this people are saying. Whereas before, like the internet or telephones or anything like that, you couldn't communicate with people outside of your social circle. So you just believed whatever you were told, and that's it. So I think they will just generally evolve into like, and I think there are quite a few people believe in like some sort of god, maybe not like a guy on a cloud in the sky, but something like that, and they're just like, forget traditional religion, you know, the Bible, whatever, but I'm happy to have faith in something rather than just nothingness.
An agnostic believer.
Yeah, kind of. I just think, I know, I think a lot more people just don't have a problem with the idea of God. They've just got a problem with standard the way religions are, rather than the God concept.
I think it's a, you know, let's get deep for a moment. I think it's genuinely, it's a reaction to having a powerful, no other animal has a mind powerful enough to have the realization that one day we'll die. And I think ever since our minds developed to that level of sophistication, that it's been grasping at an explanation as to what happens next. And because our minds are so powerful, we can imagine almost infinite possibilities. So one of those groups of thoughts just coalesced into, oh, there's a God, there's a heaven, you know, that when you die, it's not over, because people don't like to think of their existence or who they are as being, as just gone. Like people, that's a very difficult concept for people to grasp. And I think religion played a huge part in motivating people to do certain things in the past. And in our modern world, that's changed somewhat because we now study the universe and stars, and we know what happens to planets when they die and stars when they die, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. But before, a lot of people, like back hundreds of years ago, you just say, well, where is all this stuff? And you just be like, oh, it's out there, and just point to the sky and be like, well, beyond the sky where no one's ever been, and that's where the mystical magicalness all happens. And then you're like, oh, we've actually seen past the sky now, and then past the universe and the planets, and so where is all this, you know, magical stuff with the gods and hell? You know, hell's not under the earth. We know where, like, it's just the core and then the lava and then the rock, and so where is it? And so we keep coming up with all these explanations, and I think that's just the thing. It's like we constantly will come up with things that disprove a lot of the stuff, and we'll just end up with coming up with like our own, almost like new religions, but like we won't notice it because it's in real time. Like back in 100 years' time, maybe they'll have a lot more beliefs that are a lot closer to what we're thinking now, but they'll see that as the religious style stuff rather than, I don't know. I think they'll just forget the old Christianity and the old, I think it will just all move on eventually.
I'm going to sign up for Gervaisisms right now.
Gervaisisms? Scientology, the way forward.
I think we might wrap it up there, Lance. I think we started off with Call of Duty and ended with religion, so I think that's a natural progression in an evolutionary sense. Maybe there's some sort of caveman progression of small monkey, larger monkey person with a BAL 27. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, pretty much.
We've gone backwards.
But the elite version of the BAL there.
Regressed.
Yeah. We've
regressed to our primal state.
Devolution, a chimp with a MP7. Cool. All right. Well, thanks very much, Lance. Special thanks to Eddy the Chump. Thanks very much, mate. Feel free to pimp yourself out. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Eddy the Chump, all one word, and they can find me on YouTube. It's just Eddy the Chump. Just search that and you'll find me.
Good job. Good job. Christoph, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your insights into the world of the Vita.
Someone has to stick up for it. It's getting forgotten.
That's it. It's that little kid in the playground's getting punched on every freaking day. Poor little bugger. Thanks, Benny. Don't forget to ride that BMX this week, and hopefully you'll get enough sleep before your day at school tomorrow.
Yeah, I got an exam tomorrow morning, so that'll be fun.
You didn't tell me that. Jesus. Now I feel bad. Awesome.
That's fine.
And a big thanks to the man, Jax23. Thanks, buddy.
No worries. Thank you.
That's it. Say hi to Ted for me.
I will. Yeah, take him out for a walk now.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks very much. That was episode 33. Thanks for watching. You can find me on youtube.com/SkeelsyShoota, twitter.com/SkeelsyShoota, and on iTunes, and on Stitcher Radio. And I think that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye for now.